Yeah, we here. We here.
Mic check, mic check.
Yup. We here.
Let's get it popping.
It's like the homie in. Recording is now in progress. For those not in the know what's going on, it's the Marvelous Market Mondays. March 20th, man. We back. Happy spring. Spring officially started
First day
at 5:43 Eastern time.
First day.
Definitely feel like winter out here. Not sure what's happening.
It's a fact, man. ATL, what's up?
Oh, we home.
Made
It's been
it
a
back.
minute, right?
Made it back. It's been a while.
It's been a minute since we touched the great state of Georgia, home city of Atlanta.
Damn, y'all looking good.
Yo, I mean, we do what we
What's up,
can, man.
man?
We do what we can.
Now I'm on for a big week. Let's get to it. Big guest tomorrow. What we doing?
We do what we can. What's going on, man?
Man, how y'all feeling, man? I'm happy to be here.
Oh, man. Doing great. Feeling good.
Brendan, I need 3 Komodos. I need a 15 through 50, 24 through 75. What's the lens ranges? Happy Monday, everybody.
What's going on with you, man?
Man, happy to be here.
Yes.
Really a blessing.
It is indeed, man. It was a mild winter, and now we start a new season. A new season is upon us.
Spring is here.
Spring is here. Shout out to everybody that pulled up to Austin, Texas. It was definitely winter out there. Shout out to our brother Ryan Leslie, who lit up the stage. Amazing. Shout out to our brother LaRussell, and of course, the 914 legend himself, Jason Phillips, Jadakiss, man. That dude needs his own show.
Jada's funny, yo.
This needs his own show.
Yeah.
And for those not in the know, 914 will be representing next year.
Shout out to my brother Jadakiss,
and
man.
the NBA celebrity.
Yeah,
we gonna get to that.
Campaign of Heart.
No, we're gonna get to that. Don't worry, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that,
man, for sure. But yeah, shout out to Ally, shout out to United Masters, and shout out to everybody that was in Austin, Texas, even though the weather was terrible.
Yo, it was ridiculous.
It was like 40 degrees out there, man.
Yeah, it's been cold in Houston, bro. I ain't even gonna lie.
It was ridiculous. When we landed, it was like 74 degrees. 3 hours later, it was like 40 degrees. I said, oh, man, I played myself. I tried to do an interview without a hat on. I said, this can lead to nothing but head colds and fevers.
No bueno.
No good. Yeah, shout out to the UM team, like you said. Shout out to Ally. And shout out to Big X the plug, man. Good dude. Shut it down out there. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Houston's own. Texas is on. I'm not sure. Is he from Houston?
He's from Dallas, Texas.
Shout out to the whole state of Texas.
Yeah. So all right, let's get into this. You want to tell the people what we got coming up?
Can we just say something really quickly?
What's that?
I want to give a huge acknowledgement to everybody that checked out that All Money In episode.
All money in, cooking. No money out.
Listen.
That was cooking.
I mean, it was all over. You couldn't hide from it. It was one of those moments. We told everybody it was one of those moments. So I want to shout out to everybody that checked that out, left a positive comment, recommended to someone, put up a post that they saw, created their own post, and tagged us in it, man. Shout out to Black Sam, shout out to Cobby, shout out to BH, and of course, shout out to Pac, man. It was an incredible piece of work. And shout out to the team that, recorded 13th grade, my man B.
Yeah, B went crazy.
Part of, man. And we watched it. We watched a little bit of it together, but, just watching people react to it and seeing the feedback that they got. I saw the post that Copy kept putting up. Lauren London posted it.
Yeah,
was dope,
that was tough.
It was a moment, man. So shout out to that, and hopefully we can keep running the numbers up. Shout out to our brothers over there.
Yeah, and
proud of y'all for that, for real. Like that 4-part, 60-minute style.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. All right. So let's get into this. Let's get into this week's episode if we can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
Big episode tomorrow. We got heat after heat. So we're gonna keep it going with Tabitha Brown.
Yeah.
Huge social media following, over 4 million people on Instagram, million people on YouTube, all over everything. Has a line in Target.
Mm-hmm.
Restaurateur, actress. Man, the list
amazing
goes on.
person.
Yeah. First and foremost, we had a dope conversation with her, and we spoke about a variety of different things. one of the things that I'm interested to get people's feedback is, and I'm interested to get your feedback on it as well, is in a relationship, should you share bank accounts? That was something.
You know, I had to pose the question.
That was something that we spoke about. I have my opinion on it. She had her opinion on it.
I think you
tune in tomorrow to hear her insight.
You were very, very blunt and very direct with your response, I must say. Consistent. I mean, you're consistent with your stance on it.
You got to be consistent.
You have been consistent with that.
If you're not going to be anything else, be consistent.
Let me tell you this, man. That conversation was so inspiring. Shout out to Tahira.
Yeah,
shout out to
my sister.
Hope we're all forgiven from last week. I didn't mean anything about a Monopoly comment.
Neither did I. I got strays. We family.
We had a whole conversation to hear. You know I love you. Don't play like that.
Jesus.
But the conversation around health and vegan lifestyle, I was inspired, and I told Tabitha that I was going to start my journey, and so I have, man. Today is day 7 of my journey, and so it's been going pretty good, man. I got a good chef. Shout out to my wife who's been chefing up the meals. It's been going pretty good, so I will keep y'all up to date on how the vegan journey goes. It is a challenge. I'll say that because you got to really be mindful of the things that you're ingesting. So it takes.
Your wife's an amazing cook. I miss those post-market Mondays meals and powwows we have in there. But back to Tabitha, like even when she came in the studio, I was like, "Oh, this what y'all doing?"
Surprise!
AB was like, "Hey, you know it's gonna be a good one." AB get to Russian. He like, "Yeah, see you next week, brother." I was like, "Damn,
get out the room now."
Let's get to it. So. Tune in tomorrow. I know this episode is going to be fire. I'm looking forward to it. And for all the couples out there, you should at least have a joint account together, right?
Talk to him, man. Talk to him.
Shotty. Now, the main account got to be separate, but you should have a Bay account together. PC, man, different 2023.
When two
media training.
Media training.
Yes.
All right, let's get into this. So, a lot to talk about. I'm just trying to get a title for the video.
Yeah. So, how we looking over there? How we looking
so
on?
People can know what's going on.
We good? We sound good?
Huh?
We good on? We good on sound?
I'm frozen. I think so.
All right, good.
Who say you're frozen?
No, I am frozen. I was trying to see what was going on, make sure everybody's tapping in. But I got while you doing that, let me do the disclaimer. Let's do that.
Please.
All right, let's do it. All right, so you know how this works. Do your own research. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. People, and you're doing a great job with this. And shout out to everybody that pulled up on us in LA and told us about the research they were doing. In fact, they used some of the information that was delivered to you in a package at Market Mondays Live in LA, and you implement it in your daily life. Shout out to y'all. Remember, when you got the research, share it if it's great, and give credit to the people you found it from. Love is love, man. This is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the master investor himself, too, Stock Shakur Ian Dunlap.
Also, New Jersey Jacobin, new nickname. Montclair, what's up?
Montclair, New Jersey.
Patterson, what's up?
P-Town.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into it. Well, before we start, Toronto, Canada. You guys are amazing.
Love you guys.
We sold out. We're officially sold out.
Back to
so
back.
we got 2 shows. We have a show on April 2nd and a show on April 3rd.
Yes.
Market Mondays in 19 Keys. Officially sold out of both shows. We sold out the first show so fast that we had to add a second show. And then we sold out the second show 2 weeks before the actual date of the show. So unprecedented situation. Toronto, thank you. Appreciate it. London, you're next. We will be dropping the tickets for London probably next week. So London, don't disappoint us. I'm sure you won't.
Cannot wait to be back.
I'm sure you won't.
And London, when we come, listen, trapping out, listen from last time. As soon as we get on stage, straight to information, no hoopla. London was like, get to the trading info. But to everyone in London, everyone who has tickets for the show April 2nd and April 3rd, I'm truly honored. Thank you so much for coming out to the show, for selling out so fast. Thank you guys for the collaboration. Yeah, this one is going to be amazing and probably will be one of my best performances on investing in how to use AI to help your business. And Shadi, next week I will be using GPT-4 to help you with a title for the episode. Today. My bad.
Slight plug.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Any announcements that you would like to make before we start?
Yes. Kudos to the Red Panda Stock Club call. It will be tomorrow at 9:30 Central. Tune into Conversations with Zoe. I was on there this past week. You guys have another big episode coming soon, but I won't say with whom. Shout out to him. I'm on another episode of Joe Budden's Patreon. Joe, put me on the main page. I know I get some users over there and shit. Come on, man. Shout out to Joe and the team. You can check that out today. And if I've made you money, please put yes in chat. I love you guys so much. Let's get to it.
You're living on Joe Budden's page right now.
That was a great episode.
You're about to be the 7th co-host.
I have family over there. Ish.
You're part of the rotating co-host.
Boy, shout to Flip.
The seventh co-host.
It'll be your foot and Parks' foot.
Yeah.
Secret 7.
The Wu-Tang Clan.
That's funny.
So let's get into this. There's a lot to talk about. I want to do something different if we can. I wanted to do a moderated version of my monologue to start the show, if that's okay. Because I wanted to talk about something else.
Let me ask production.
You going ISO? Okay, come on.
Let's go ISO.
Go ahead.
ISO at the beginning of the game.
You started the game out with the isolation play.
I just want to talk about the law of reciprocity. And it's extremely important. And I think that that's one of these things that in business and just in life in general, people don't fully appreciate or understand either, is life's golden rule. You know, you keep it real with somebody that has kept it real with you. Shout out to Nori. He said that on his album in 96. And I want to give a real life example of this because it's a 360 moment. And I said it yesterday, but Dame Dash, somebody who, you know, we looked up to our whole lives and somebody that spearheaded the financial literacy movement. So when we were, you know, in our journey of beginning Earn Your Leisure and we went to LA and my brother Kenny Burns made an introduction to Dame and we got him on the show and that was a really, really big deal for us at the time. Like that was the biggest person that we had to date, somebody that we was really like targeting. So it was an extremely big deal for us to get Dame and we was able to get Dame. And not only did he do the show, but he was very generous with his time. He provided us a lot of information off camera. He allowed us to use his studio for the week when we was in LA, which we in turn ended up interviewing 19 Keys. The first time we ever met 19 Keys was in Dame Dash's studio, which he let us use for free. And this is before, you know, we turned into what we are now. So it was just it wasn't done with any like, okay, in the future, you owe me type of vibe, right? So fast forward, it's crazy how life works. Because fast forward 2.5 years later, and, you know, we have been blessed to become who we have become. And so him and 19 Keys are doing an event in Oakland, which is an amazing event. So it was like, all right, how can we pay back both of them? Because they both have helped us tremendously in our journey. So it was like, we wanted to sponsor 50% off for tickets for 50 people. Mm-hmm. And when I told him that, and it was just like, kind of like, you know, blew his mind. He was like, yo, thank you. I really appreciate that. But I'm like, nah, I mean, I appreciate you. So that's our way of paying our respect, paying our homage to both of those gentlemen, but also trying to help people as well. So I just feel like that's something that's very, very important in this time, is to never forget who helped you early on in your journey and try your hardest to help them, because we all need help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. We all need help sometimes. And it's just really an honor to be able to do that. So I say that to say 19 Keys, Dame Dash will be in Oakland, California this Thursday for a legendary in-person event. That's like this type of stuff you see at InvestFest. So we are sponsoring tickets for 50. We might even open up for a little bit more. And the link is in the description of this video. You can just click the link and you don't even need a code. We just made a special link and it's 50% off. And it's everything, 50% off from the VIP all the way down to the live stream. Whatever you want to do, you can live stream it even if you can't make it in person. And it's an amazing opportunity to connect with two of the greatest minds of our generation, of our time, in one place. I know it's going to be a dynamic, life-changing event. And extremely happy to support that event. It's not our event, but we're supporting it like it's our event because that's important, right? Like you got to support your brother's work like it's your work and vice versa. So I just wanted to just say that. I felt like it was a good way to start the programming, because I know we're going to be talking about a lot of doom and gloom with banks closing and different things of that nature. But in this world of negativity, never forget to be positive, and never forget to pay homage to the people that helped you at the beginning.
Life hack.
Life hack.
It was exciting. Even when we was at the, can we tell where we were at that one day all together or no?
Huh?
Can we tell where we were at that one day all together?
Yeah.
Oh,
When we were, me, you, and Keys?
Yeah.
And Dane? Yeah. We was in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was amazing just to see how Dame gave back to the kids and seeing like him build a podcast studio for kids and just seeing us all vibe. And like the crazy part is like, regardless of what the perception may be, Dame is a very humble person, very loving. So yeah, please support. Y'all know I love 19. Support him, support Dame. Kudos to Eddie Melton. Dame is actually helping Eddie run for mayor in my home county of Lake County. So just to see that, like, I'm a kid from Northwest Indiana, like to be from East Chicago, and of course, like at the golden era of rap to be for Rockefeller and Death Row to be at the pinnacle, and then to see Dame helping 219 now, it's like, man, God is good. Life is good. So yeah, support Dame in all ways that we can. And I've always said it, but like Dame was probably 12 or 13 years ahead of the curve. Before like Gary V, whom I love, like put out that social media blueprint, Dame was talking about these concepts like in 99 and 2000 and never got credit for it. So kudos to him in 19.
Yeah, man. Dangerous solutions. And yeah, shout out to Dane. Shout out to Principal Brown for opening his doors. I know it's tough, man, being a principal and having that many people coming to your school and still trying to conduct classes and make sure that kids are getting to class. Shout out to Principal Brown. It just so happens that, you know, the podcast studio was in the building with a principal that we're working diligently with to change, you know, the outcome for millions of students in New York City. And so that's just when purposes align, right? Like we didn't even have any idea that studio was going to be there prior to us getting a tour, but it just shows you, man, when people are aligned and they're putting, especially with Dame's purpose right now, putting kids first and making sure that the education of, you know, the kids of the future is there, you know, these are the outcomes. And so it wasn't by mistake that we all ended up in the same place at the same time. And we need to see more of that. We need to see more of that. It wasn't a competition of who, you know, who's done the most. It was really a compliment to see like, yo, this is what happens when we all work together. So again, shout out to Principal Brown and Farrell's Academy for having us in the building.
Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about it. Amazon. Let's start here before we get to the bank situation. Amazon to lay off 9,000 more workers, which brings the total to 27,000 people. How do we feel about this? What does it say about the economy? What does it say about the tech sector? What does it say?
I'll just say the first thing, and it goes back to when we talked about it in December, when they laid off 18,000 people, and we saw Meta do it, and not 18,000, but we saw them do 11, and we saw Google, and we saw Microsoft do it. These are the effects of the pandemic, right? When we talk about a lot of the tech companies, how were they going to respond to the overwhelming demand on their product? Well, the response was to hire more people. When people have changed the way that they go about business, the way they go about lifestyle, the way they go about spending, there's going to be a change in your business. And the change just happened to be, you know, especially for Amazon, that people are going back outside and they're shopping. People still use Amazon, but there's an alternative to how they once were only shopping. And so I looked up the statistics. This is pretty interesting. Between Q4 2019 and Q3 2022, their headcount increased by 93%.
Jeez.
93%.
Yeah.
That's nearly almost 100% more people worked during that time than they had originally planned. So, right, even if you were creating a hiring board in 2019 going into 2020, you could have never imagined that this would be the increase of hires. And so what comes on the inverse of that, when there needs to be cutbacks, some people are going to lose their jobs. It's unfortunate. The count is like 27,000. So this round of cuts is expected to impact the cloud computing, advertising, human resources, and Twitch units. So a lot of gaming, a lot of, again, cloud computing. It's unfortunate, right? Because these 27,000, I know it feels like it's a number, but these are actually people. Yes. And these people have families and these people have bills, and it's unfortunate. But this is part of the economy, right? This is what comes with gross overhiring. There are going to be layoffs and cutbacks. And so, again, it's unfortunate. But I don't think this is the end, right? Because we're still we're still trying to figure out, and especially a lot of these companies in tech are trying to figure out what is the right medium. You don't want to underhire, but what comes with that, and I know that you stress this a lot, Ian, is that we have to figure out how we can get more with less people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a prime case of it.
A couple of interesting things. Like you said, this isn't going to be the last cut, number one. So they're layering because a company can't effectively lay off 50,000 people in 1 week, 1 quarter, 1 day. It'll send shockwaves throughout the market. Number two, as they're transitioning to a new CEO, there's some dramatic changes that had to be made. If you look, the stock at one point was at 188.65. It came down to 84.02, which pretty much cut the value of the stock in half. Therefore, you had to make some adjustments. Number three, I don't like this for the workforce. I was doing some analysis earlier, and without quantitative easing in 2008 through 2020, the supply of money that came in 2020 and the bailouts that we'll talk about tonight, we have effectively been in a recessive market since 2019. We're in 2023 right now. So what we're saying, as we're seeing a hiring freeze, Meta's done the same thing, and they're also no longer going to be hiring 5,000 more jobs that they plan to. These companies have to cut back, and they're also having to find ways to be more efficient in real time. Sadly enough, cutting these jobs will allow the stock to go back up. But even when I was talking to my brother yesterday, he was saying, you used to be able to find some great deals on Amazon, but because of inflation, you are not finding as many. Amazon is one of the top picks in the Red Panda Stock Club. It's been hovering around like 93 to 97 for a while. Maybe in about another 8 to 13 months, it should get back to like 140, 111. But they need to cut some more jobs. And then on the management side, they need to do a hell of a lot better job of being more efficient and getting their cost basis up in terms of net income and net revenue. So this is sad, because this is not going to be the last of it. And this is why they're pushing AI at every angle that they can. GPT-4 was released. Microsoft now has their version. But we're just seeing, we're probably only like in the middle of these job cuts for tech overall.
Yeah.
So what does this say about Amazon as far as investing in the company, as far as their stock is concerned? As Amazon's been a company that, we've talked about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, a good investment long term. Is it still a good investment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
1,000%.
But I like that 75 and below. Like anything above that right now is, and also it goes back to Bezos' leadership. We cannot, same with LeBron. Like, we're kind of taking LeBron for granted, even though like he's in his last 2 to 3 years. We took Bezos for granted for a long time. Andy's a great executive, but Bezos was a superstar, rock star level CEO that over-delivered. He may need to come back to that seat for a couple of years to right the ship.
Yeah. And I think you said it, and most people maybe be confused by it, but yeah, these layoffs will probably mean that the stock is going to go up. Mm-hmm. And we had this conversation last week when we were talking about Salesforce, when it was like, all right, we need to really figure out where our spending is and how we're going to cut spending. And one of those things that they do is lay off employees. Yes. And so when they lay off employees, and now they have more money to make business more efficient. It's a sad effect, but it's a real effect, right? Of, cutting jobs. You want to make more money.
Yeah.
So you say you like it under $75, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, I think it also speaks to just making work more efficient. And this can lead to a conversation. I don't know if you guys seen it, but they've been pushing more and more about this four-day work week situation.
Yeah.
More and more companies are pushing towards that. And I had a conversation to my barber. Shout out to Bubs. I was in the shop today. We was listening. They were talking about it on the radio.
Crispy, by the way.
Appreciate that. Very important. Very important. So this is my philosophy, right? Because he was asking me, do I think the 4-day work week is a good idea? And I'm like, I guess technically, but in our line of work, for instance, it's an everyday work week, but it's done not traditionally. So the person that does our YouTube, right? His name is Rich. Shout out to him. I get up in the morning and I'll give him tasks for the day. I try to do it before 10 o'clock. And then he just has to do it at some point in time. So he could potentially do it before 1 o'clock, before 12 o'clock, anything, right? And then you're done for the day. But we need to post content every single day. So that, to me, that type of hybrid approach is what we're going into, right? We're going into the office and clocking in at 9 o'clock and wasting time and leaving at 5:30. Like, those days are over. I feel like you have tasks that have to be completed. You can complete those tasks from anywhere. Yes. You can do a Zoom call if you need to have a conference, or you can just call somebody if you need to talk to somebody. There's no need to physically be there. So that cuts overhead as far as, and this goes back to the commercial real estate play, that cuts overhead as far as office is concerned, but it also cuts the amount of people that you need as well, because you realize you don't really need that many people, because a lot of people are getting paid to do nothing.
Trim the fat.
So trim the fat, extremely important, and not to call people fat, because we are sensitive that people are getting laid off. Nobody wants to see anybody lose their job. But I'm just saying, as far as moving forward, I feel like more and more companies will look to see how you can get more efficiency from your employees. And in my opinion, that's from the employees staying at home, having tasks that have to be completed. It doesn't matter when. You can do the task at 1 o'clock in the morning if you want. Just do the task. And that's the new working model, in my opinion.
Can I chime in really quick and tell a very soft truth that most people need to hear? The 4-hour work week proposition is being done, and efficiency is going to be slung around so they don't have to give us full-time benefits, because they're not going to have most people work. If you are at 8 hours a day, hello, Michael, and you're working 4 days a week, you're going to be at 32 hours. They don't have to then give you full-time. And I'm seeing this happen with some people right now. Like, they'll put you right up to like 38 and a half, 39 hours to avoid 40 hours plus and giving you full benefits. So please be careful as they are pushing this initiative of a 4-day work week, that you don't get caught in that trap of them trying to lower your benefits or your pay, and then subconsciously or subtly in corporate forcing you to do more while giving you less.
Yeah, you see in France that well, you should get, what did you say? You said,
Time out.
Wait. No. You said, I just want to be clear what you said. You said be careful that they don't give you less for
benefits.
Doing less. For doing less. You should get less for doing less.
But what they're going to do, and the truth is, like, they've ruined our economy. And then, like, notice whenever the banks collapse, which is a sign of a recession, they have to bail out banks because mass consolidation is an easy way to form a quiet monopoly. They always end up blaming the people for destroying the economy. It wasn't the workforce that caused the collapse of SVB or FTX or Bitcoin imploding from 60 down to 20,000. We'll talk about Bitcoin later. It wasn't the consumers that did that. It was the organizations and leadership that did that. But then, and always watch, even in the SVB thing, they're going to start to put some of this on Black entrepreneurs and said that they were given risky loans and they didn't meet a certain risk profile, which reminds me a lot of and for those of you who don't know, when the housing market collapsed, it wasn't because Blacks and Latins got 2 and 3 houses. That wasn't it. We didn't have any credit default swap options on these investments, right? It was hard enough for us to open up a brokerage in 2008, but you want to make me think that we imploded a global market when they were putting exotic tranches together and selling them off in Germany and Ukraine and Russia and traded them like option derivatives. The consumer always get blamed, and we always get blamed as on the Black consumer side. So yes, we want to make things more efficient, but I also don't want us to take the blame for this market falling apart when we did not cause that crash.
That's important.
That's a fact.
That's important.
And then also what they have going on in France right now is riots in the streets because the president is trying to push the retirement age back. But we also, all right, there's 2 sides to this coin. At some point, things have to change because the world is changing, right? So hours have to get cut back. The retirement age has to get pushed back. If people are living longer, right, it's just common sense that the retirement age has to get pushed back. It's a strain on the...
Or leisure has to be earned faster. Maybe the government of France is not doing that well by the people. Anytime a government is trying to extend The retirement age, it is a sign that they have messed off the pension and government funds for you to retire. That's the big bomb. When that gets dropped, student loan debt, and where is the Social Security money at?
Well, if you're relying on the government for retirement, then you're screwed. You're screwed anyway. I'm just going to be fully transparent.
Y'all think FTX bad? Wait till they reveal that bubble when they get on 60
Well, here's the thing. If you ever look at this is important. Social Security, right, is the government program that was created to supplement people's retirements. That's what it was originally created for. Mm-hmm. But supplement is extremely important. It was never designed to be the fully source of retirement. But if you look at your statement, you can go online and look at your Social Security statement. It actually says the day that Social Security will be insolvent. It says
yes.
it. Mm-hmm. It's you can actually read it. I forget what year it is, but I don't know exactly what year it is, but let's just say it's like 2030. It'll say like in 2030, Social Security is on pace to be insolvent. It says it, and nobody reads it.
No one talks about it.
Nobody cares about it. And I learned this when I was an advisor. I used to actually go through it with my clients and like, look, I used to highlight it. You see right there, like they're saying that there's not going to be any money left. This is their way out. So when it does implode, if it does implode, they can say, well, we've been telling you.
2033.
Oh,
yeah. 2033.
Yeah, 2033.
We're nearing.
And so now they can make changes. They can do bailouts, but as it stands right now, it's on pace to disappear in 2033. So you, as an intelligent person, should never plan. If somebody's saying, okay, in
2034,
I'm on pace to divorce you in 2034, you prepared to get divorced. You don't cry about it when they're telling you. Yeah. They're telling you it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So relying on the government to save you is never a good option.
Yeah. So we've already seen the United States push the retirement age back from 62 to 65. And then I think now it might be 70 for a certain
71, right?
71 for a certain. France is proposing to push it back from 62, which is what it is now, to 64. So 2 more years. That's still younger.
That's reasonable.
That's still younger than what the United States has.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah, that's not bad.
The European
so then would have 11 years or 14 years of life to go explore and travel and play with your grandkids.
Yeah, basically.
You got to earn your leisure a lot faster. You're right, Ian. I'm with you.
Basically.
We got to figure that out. That should be that's the goal.
And they won't say it, but the reason that they're really mad at that kid from FTX is because he's the one who made the block hot. Meaning, once he unveiled the corruption inside of the financial system, that was the thread that destroyed the sweater or the veil. And now you're seeing he wasn't the only one mismanaging funds. It's bigger than Nino Brown.
Putting cases out Pelican Bay. That's where they'll be playing basketball. Probably not though. They're gonna be playing. No. They're gonna be playing golf with Martha Stewart.
Boca Raton.
Joint that she was at. But or your man Trump. He's handing himself in tomorrow.
We shall see.
We'll talk about that later on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Protests in the streets.
That was like that Dave Chappelle skit. Remember that?
Which one?
When he gave a skit about like this white collar criminal that stole like $60 billion and he was going to jail. So he had to call. They negotiated his surrender. He had his meal plan. And then they had the drug dealer where they ran the crib at 4 o'clock in the morning and kicked the door down and it's a whole skit. If you've never seen it, it's actually a very true testament to the American justice system. I digress.
A lot of truth in jest.
Thank you. So let's talk.
Mike, edit this out on the replay.
Let's
talk. I'll be knocking on the door before I end the show.
Oh man, hit the like button and share.
Yes, please.
Hit the like button and share. We're about to get into what everybody wants to know. Let's talk about this banking crisis. Let's take it step by step.
Another one.
Yeah.
The latest one, UBS acquires Credit Suisse for $3.2 billion. Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. I actually posted this on IG where they were actually rivals.
Yes. Number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, they were rivals for a while.
It's like Bad Boy buying Death Row in 98 or 97.
Yeah, very comparable. Yep.
Yeah. So Credit Suisse fell into some trouble over the last week or two. And this weekend, the government forced regulators. The government regulators forced the sale. Mm-hmm. Gave them a deal that they couldn't refuse.
The only deal was there was only one deal.
Yeah, basically.
This is your plan.
So The company was valued at $8 billion market cap. They initial offer was $1 billion. They thought that was extremely disrespectful. The friends at Saudi National Bank, which is the largest shareholder, which they said, don't do it. Urged them not to do it. Counted back with a 2 billion franc offer. They said, don't do it. Settled for 3.2 billion. Sold. 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, sold.
This happened. I mean,
sold.
How 24 hours?
Yeah. Stock dropped 50%. From Friday to Monday. And the whole world is once again going crazy. Another bank collapsed. And this time, this is a global bank. This is a large institution with global partners, billions of dollars on the books. Okay, how does this one happen? What's the deal with this?
This is so scary because this reminds me exactly of 2008, but we're acting as if the house isn't on fire. Going back to, I'm going to go through the chain of events. When FTX collapse happened, it started to unveil the weakness and frailty of the overall banking system. For everyone in the crypto space and everyone in the Bitcoin space who has been railing and saying, hey, we need another currency to offset any potential losses or massive inflation. This is a prime example of why. This is where Credit Suisse has been a terrible company since the last recession. So the last time they had a high was in April of 2007. It was like $79.29. It's literally been falling apart ever since then. In 2010, it got to a high of $59.66. Going back to the Slack thing, if Salesforce paid $27 billion for Slack, a piece of software, and Credit Suisse only worth $3 billion, listen, if these banks internationally fell apart, then regionally we're having issues. You guys see that all the regional directors and regional CEOs went to go meet Warren Buffett. Warren is back to doing his JP, James Pierpont Morgan thing of bailing out the regional banks. But we'll talk about that later. But if we're having solvency issues, liquidity issues, we told you guys 6 months ago that you can't even take a certain amount of money out anymore out of the bank. You have to order the money. There is a big systemic issue with our banks. And for them to say all of a sudden, hey, we're going to have to change legislation with the FDIC, where if you have more than $250,000 in, we're going to just shore up that money no matter what. I don't know where the money is, but it's not in the banks.
Yo, it's that's the part like we got to really talk about. And I saw somebody they put up the most like simple form meme, and it was like, think about the process it takes for a retail, just like a retail person, like the everyday person, to go to the bank and get a credit card. Like, think about all you have to go through just to get approved for a credit card. And think about the process that these regulators for these banks have when they're making investments in like bonds and things like that.
Yes.
Like, if you just look at the investment a lot of the times, and that's what we were talking about last week, it was like, who was approving this? Like, what is the checks and balances when the banks are making these investments?
You don't need one when you know you're going to get bailed out. Because
it doesn't even make sense. Right? Like, if we had a checklist for things that, even if we wanted to get a home, like a loan from the bank, the amount of things that the average person has to go through.
Yes. And
a lot of times we don't even get approved, right? If that type of stipulation was put into the banks themselves, would we even be in the situation? Like, and you said the word bailout, but they're not using the word bailout, right? Like, the word that they're using is a commercial solution, right? So the government says, look, this is the solution. You need to take this because there is no leave. You are going to take this. What are you supposed to do?
Well, you know what's so crazy is
you got to take it.
Well, first off, everybody hit the like button and share. This is live, guys.
Yes.
I was talking to some people over the weekend, and I realized that people are very disturbed when Market Mondays is not live.
Uh-oh.
I don't
Tell us why. If the information is always live.
I don't know. I'm not sure why. They're very sticklers. So here's my thing.
Look.
I'm okay. I'm fine. Well, that doesn't prove that it's not.
I'm just saying this is
8:39.
8:39
Eastern time. Eastern Standard
First day of
time.
spring.
Yeah.
And somebody just said a commercial solution in the chat. Shout out to Juan.
Well, my thing is that I'm not opposed to it being live a lot. But we gotta if it's more viewers on the pre-recorded than the live, then
It allows for a better broadcast.
So
media training.
Let's get the viewership up. Let's push this bad boy up to 7,000, and maybe we can have a string of live videos. So
live, here we
hit
go.
the like button and share, and we can see what we can do. Now,
real leaders of the financial movement wouldn't have to manipulate the audience, Rashad.
Crowd manipulation, crowd participation. Wording is very important. So let's
commercial solution. That's where
right.
we left off at.
A lot of people have been asking about Ally, and this is a legitimate question because we have championed them. So it is something that we should talk about. Yes. And I actually spoke to some of the people at Ally during South by Southwest, and I asked them. I said, "Well, our people are concerned," and this is what they told me. They said that we're in good financial standing. We won't fall to this issue, a variety of different reasons. They said that we're not a brick and mortar bank, so we don't have the same level of expenses. And that was a legitimate thing. They said we don't take the same risk that a lot of banks take as far as the investment, and that seemed like a legitimate thing. So we'll monitor the situation. They told me that, and they gave me detailed reasons why. They don't.
One of which will say Warren Buffett has been investing heavily in Ally, quietly for like the last 2 or 3 years. That is a sign of confidence for sure.
So we'll see.
So give it that Ally.
But yeah,
for everything you need, we're all better off with an Ally.
We're all better off with an Ally. But another thing about this bank bailout situation is that I was watching something and they were saying that 6,000 people. That's all it takes to get 6,000 people on the viewership.
Shout out to all y'all.
Now let's get it up to 7. Let's do the Kevin Samuels and just stop talking. Let's try that.
Freeze.
Let's try.
Everyone freeze. Ian, don't move.
Let's try that.
Stop breathing.
Let's try that trick. See how that works. We're not asking for super chats. All we asking is for likes. So the bailout thing, and somebody said like, bailout got such a bad stigma that they stopped using the term bailout and they start using other words. They start playing around with words. Like what you say that they were using now?
Commercial solution.
Like, ladies, it's the same thing when guys be like, hey, baby, I ain't cheating. We in a polygamous relationship. The same thing. A swindle is a swindle called by any name.
Capricorn. So I was watching this documentary about how to control the masses. And one thing that was interesting is that they said that the word propaganda technically is not a bad word, but after Hitler's regime, Hitler had a whole propaganda campaign. So they didn't want to use that. Like when the people, Sigmund Freud's nephew is the father of all manipulation when it propaganda. So when he started his campaign in America, he said, okay, we can't use the word propaganda because it has such a bad stigma. This is how they created public relations. So what we know is PR today was a spin just because they didn't want to use, but it's really propaganda. But he said public relations is a much better way to put it. And this is something that the people will actually be interested in because you're naming it public relations. I say that to say this happens a variety of different times where something is just reworded. It's the same exact packaging. It's just reworded and now it becomes appealing to the public. So you, as an intelligent person, be aware of things that are reworded in different packaging, but the same exact product because it is not changing. It's only the name and what they call it is changing. And that's done intentionally for a variety of different reasons, but mainly to have public support.
Right.
Can I give an example real quick?
Yes.
Systemic risk. Everyone put this in chat. Systemic risk means we F the money up. So if you hear a bank say we are currently at systemic risk or volatility levels have hit all-time highs, that means they have destroyed the company and F'd up the bank. And they're trying to figure out a solution to get more money here to offset the losses.
It's like the word insolvent. We broke, bro.
Broke.
We broke, bro. We don't have it. Bro, I ain't got it. We don't have it, bro. That's insolvent. We don't have it. I know we said we had it. We don't.
Yeah.
We're insolvent.
Ran off on a plug twice.
Ran off on a plug twice.
Are we gonna go through the same crash for the same reason?
And
this is unbelievable.
And it keeps happening.
Yeah.
So,
but if they don't have this commercial solution or like we know as a bailout, what happens to the economy? First in Switzerland, but then on a global scale.
It falls apart.
The truth is so in 99 through 2001, really 98 through 2002, the same thing happened. They overfunded tech ideas that were not amazing. So you can swap out pets.com for Rivian Motors, Aleutian Motors, or whoever you want to in this era. There was overfunding in the tech space because money was flowing easily. That caused the market to crash. And then we had like a low period for 4 to 5 years where things are not going well. Technically, since 2019, without all of this extra money supply being thrown out and ruining and quantitative easing having to be forced back in to keep the market afloat, like we're throwing all this money in to be like at break even or slightly above. Traders, this is like if you blow up $100,000 account and you go borrow $700,000 to offset that $100,000 loss, but at scale. This is the same problem from before. The truth is we need to let some of these companies catch on fire, burn, and then have new legislation in place and new rules. And I'll talk about it later tonight, but we need to fund more women-based companies and more companies that actually provide real solutions opposed to just going through all these angel competitions that are just slushing money around endlessly that keep propagating the same issue. Like we are literally going through the same thing from 2007 to 2008 and calling it something else and acting like we're not going through the same issues as before. It's heartbreaking.
Yo, I want to give like context to this because when I read this, I'm like, oh, wow. All right, so this is by the numbers. So UBS is buying Credit Suisse for roughly negative 14 billion, right?
Yes.
It's paying the 3.2 billion to Credit Suisse shareholders, but only because Swiss regulators are wiping out 17.2 billion of the bank's liabilities, leaving those bondholders with nothing.
Yes. It's happened in 2008. And look at this. From even if you go, the ticker is TOT, so you guys can go look. The bond market, the 20-year bond was at 179.70. The bond market is at 105. Last year it got to a low of $91. They destroyed the bond market, which is like the slowest and safest investment that you can have. How do you destroy the bond market and equities and real estate and crypto at the same time as soon as we get into it? You think that just happened accidentally overnight by happenstance? No. We need, this is the time I'm gonna agree with Kramer. They are nuts, they know nothing. We need full change. We need a full regime change from top to bottom. This is unbelievable, man. Shout out to JP Morgan and Goldman and everybody up there too. Y'all gotta make some changes though.
6,300 people. We're making progress.
Hey, let's put the mics away. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle.
Hit the like button and share. Okay. First Republic Bank.
Let's talk about some
First
domestic
Republic
banks.
Bank falls to its all-time low.
Yes.
Right now. So is this a good time to buy it? Or will this be the next contestant?
Ian, can I give you some context?
Will this be the next contestant over the boat to be thrown over the boat?
I'm going to reference what we talked about last week about profitability. I'm going to just give context here. So the bank, right? First Republic Bank has tumbled 90% over the past month. 90%. 80% since March 8th.
Buy the dip.
These thoughts are Rashad Bilal's only.
Well, we just spoke about money being insured, and when there's regional banks, and we see it as SVB, and we saw what happened there. People start going to get their money. Now, this statistic is very important. 68% of the money, the deposits that are in First Republic were uninsured. 68%. When people, right?
Can you tell them what that means?
So that means after $250,000, right? That is guaranteed to you by the bank. If something happens to the bank, you're guaranteed that. Anything over that limit, loss. We don't have it.
Yes.
We don't have it. And so if 70% of the money that's inside these banks is not insured, well, if I see regional banks going down because of liquidity issues, then the first thing that I'm thinking as a customer is, okay, I need to take my money out. I have to go get my money as fast as possible. Now, what that does for regional banks, it tanks the regional banks. But the inverse of that is, what does it do to the major banks? What does it do to Wells Fargo? What does it do to Bank of America? What does it do to Chase? More money gets put into those banks. And so if we're
Wells
thinking
Fargo
about,
should be going under though. I'm gonna go on the record, but everyone else should be safe. But Wells Fargo is, I don't know how they're still alive.
so just last week alone, based on what was happening with regional banks, just for more context, Bank of America received $15 billion in deposits last week alone, just Bank of America.
So, all right. So for these regional banks, what you're saying essentially is that as long as there's more money coming in than going out, it's okay. But as soon as it reverses and there's more money that is going out than is going in, everything falls apart.
Potentially.
That's a Ponzi scheme.
Listen, we can dress it up and call it anything else. And listen, the people are not stupid. Like, when you have a feeling that something isn't right, and we haven't all been able to put our finger on it, but it's like, how is everything falling apart and then the banks are worried? I've never, in a recession or dramatic pullback like this, seen so many bank executives also be quiet. They also haven't rolled out Warren Buffett to say that the American economy is stronger than ever. This is when you know the economy is good. He's going to be on with Becky Quick. Shout out to Becky on CNBC. He's going to have a little Coca-Cola cup, and he's going to say, no, the American economy is stronger than ever. Me and Charlie been sitting around discussing, if you hold the S&P for 80 years, everything. He hasn't said a fucking word yet. That's how you know it is. And they're coming to him, and they flew to Omaha, I think 20 banks, and they're working out a deal right
11.
now.
That's
11.
where I was going next, Ian, because this is the interesting part, right? When we see these regional banks going down, who do you think is making the call to come help them out? The big boys, right? And so as withdrawals slow down, there was a consortium of 11 banks, including JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. They all banded together to announce a $30 billion deposit into First Republic. We have to stabilize them and keep them alive, because we can't have people talking like this guy. We don't want anybody talking like this guy. And so they're putting money into those banks, into the bank, to say, all right, let's stabilize it. Let's keep it afloat.
And when we kept saying, hey, these artists are selling their rights to their catalog for a reason. This is no different than Sony buying up all the small labels, or when Def Jam was partnering with Rockefeller and Murder Inc. and Rough Riders back in the day. It's the same process. Please write this in chat. Mass consolidation is a way to form a quiet monopoly. So now, if I'm a bank and you come to me and say, hey, your bank's going to go out of business, I'm going to give you some capital. Am I giving you that capital for free, or now do I have a vested interest in your business and now either own parts of your business, or you have to pay me a dividend for a certain period of time? This is the easiest way for the too big to fail banks to become even bigger. This is why I always say, if it's not in the top 3, don't touch it. Anything else can have risk, because you're not just worried about when things are good. You have to focus your portfolio. What do you do when it's hell on earth? Who will survive? In the banking space, it's always going to be JP Morgan, it's going to be Goldman, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, Blackstone. And then Bank of America is like B tier. Like, it's like Austin Reeves on the Lakers right now, cooking, but still not Braun. Like, I love Brian Moynihan, big fan, but Bank of America is not the big player in that space. And even if you look since the recession of 2008, they went from 253 to a high of $49. They're currently at 27. Great if you invested from 2008, but if you've invested in 2020 at around like $19, you haven't seen that much gain. Safe, but they're not the biggest player in that space. Consolidation, mass consolidation, is the easiest way to build a quiet monopoly.
I got a question for both of you. Maybe you can let some insight. So there's been some talks about the FDIC raising that insured amount from 250 to a different number. I know some numbers have been going out, $1 million, $2 million. What is the number? How long do you think that will take to happen? And is it a feasible thing? Because prior to 2008, I had to do the knowledge on this. Prior to 2008, it was only 100,000.
It was $100,000.
100,000. And so after that, obviously the financial crisis of 2008, it was raised to 250. Now we're seeing regional banks. What's happening right now? Do you think that there will be an increase in the amount of money that is insured from the FDIC?
I think it'll be an increase for a variety of different reasons. Inflation will play a factor. And then, as far as, having some level of more security for the public. Once again, you got to be able to secure the public. So that should happen, probably. I guess it's just a matter of how much.
Funk Master Flex voice. Lies, they worshipped him. Yeah. Is it feasible? No, it's not feasible, but will they raise the limit? Yes. I'm gonna talk to the ladies real quick. Ladies, you know, when we mess up and we get to cheat, and then we're like, baby, I do whatever you tell me to do, right? Y'all make the long list of what you need us to do. Troy's never been there because he's smart. Me and
black
Rashad
men,
stupid.
black men don't cheat.
Right. Boys do at times, and I was a boy once in my life, right? And then we'll tell you whatever you want to hear. This is what the banks are doing. So at one point, and maybe 3 or 4 years, they're going to say, hey, we're insure you up to $1 million. How do you insure $1 million account if you don't have $10 million in a local branch? I don't know what to listen. When I go to JP Morgan, these are just thoughts on other banks. I'm telling you right now, I'm caping. But if the money is not there, how are they going to insure this many people?
Well, the good thing is that you can always, the good thing is that you can always print money, right?
Which is a mistake, though.
Yeah, but I mean, so it's not a resource that there's a finite amount of. It's not like you're saying gold. Okay, we have to have gold bars to make sure that we have enough.
That's gone too.
But I'm just saying, so it's not really an issue for them to print more money in the short term. Now that causes issues with the economy. That's a different story. But if worse comes to worse, they just print more money.
I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna have to say it. Americans need to find ways to open up international bank accounts for safety reasons.
Cut his mic off.
What? What'd you say? Swiss account? What?
I didn't say Swiss.
Cut his mic off.
But if your bank has global branches, it would be very wise of you to have international exposure the same way you want international exposure to other stocks. You need that in banking as well. That's why I told you guys a couple weeks ago, call and ask what the financial solvency score is. Now, shout out to you, those who did. This is the interesting part. There's 2 people who sent me the recordings, and they said, I cannot give you that information right now or later. These are big brands. This isn't like, your homeboys, People's Republic Bank, right? With 22. These are big banks. Things are a lot more serious than what they're telling, and I don't want to be the face of doom and gloom. But
also shout out to one of our guys. I'm not sure if he wants me to say it, so I'm not gonna say his name, but he was one of the last people that got the gold visa from Portugal.
That's a homework assignment.
They was offering them gold visas. Yeah.
Homework assignment.
If you know, you know. But
in itself.
So a lot of, but that's been happening for a long time where wealthy people have been getting citizenship in very random places. In different parts of the Caribbean. And
you think Drake is over there every day with Lil Yachty gambling just because he don't like being in Toronto or LA no more? He don't even talk about Calabasas. Kim and Kanye broke up. That's not by accident. These views are just that of Ian Dunlap and the Red Panda Rebellion. Have no reflection on the thoughts of you.
Well, when we was, I don't even know if you remember this, but when we was teaching the kids in the classroom, one of the lessons that I did was about American citizens. I was actually giving these kids very high level education about Americans denouncing their citizenship.
Yeah.
Every year, hundreds, I don't want to misquote, thousands of Americans denounce their citizenship every year. And nobody talks about that. The reason why they're giving up their citizenship most of the time is for tax purposes.
I was gonna say this is a tax lesson.
And that was during the tax lesson that we was giving the kids. So yeah.
I got some letters.
Don't do the Akeem and denounce your throne from Lisa, but you may want to look at an investment property in the other country. And it's one of the main reasons
we are fastly approaching 7,000.
Look at that.
What's my name? Cash App what?
Asking you how, and you shall receive.
It's happening.
7,000 people.
Shout out to all y'all on the check-in.
Let's give them.
Troy, what you call me? Cash App Charlie. What's my nickname?
Captain Cash
App.
Boy, only for the audience.
So I know. Let's talk about a few. I know Ian has a presentation, but let's talk about something. Will this be the year of the bailout? Will this be known as the year of the bailout
or the year of commercial solutions? Which one is it, Ian?
Troy, I think you hit the nail on the head. The year of listen, the Fed right now is finesse 2 times for real. It's cool when they do it. They changed the name on them and acted like it's not a bailout at scale, but then said they didn't have any more money for the citizens. And has Flint gotten clean water yet?
I don't
Work
know.
in progress.
Not sure. Not sure.
Yes, the year of commercial solutions. This is scary.
400 Foot Locker locations have been are closing
by 2026.
Yeah.
Inside of malls. So we gotta be very specific.
Yeah, Foot Locker, they were done once Nike stopped, right? Nike doesn't have their shoes in Foot Locker anymore.
They still have them. They're pulling back.
They're pulling back
30% of the
their
inventory. Yeah,
on Foot Locker.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean they're just a retail that just provides other retail stores equipment, right? So like they don't have a shoe, they don't have their own clothing, they just stock other brands.
T-shirts in there.
Those is bad though. Those are like Laffy Taffy, the Laffy Taffy days. You know what I mean?
It was a good pre-internet model.
The thing is that, and again, this is another pandemic issue, right? Nike was one of it. I mean, how many retail stores do they have? Not many, but they make a killing digitally, right? So the Nike app, I told you every Saturday, any day that they put out release, it's almost guaranteed that the item is going to sell out. Their merchandise gets sold online. They don't really need a brick and mortar store to be a successful business. And so why pay another brand or another company to put their merchandise inside of it when they could just sell it online, right? And you see Adidas doing the same thing. They have their own flagship stores. And so if you take all these brands, start saying, hey, we're just going to have our own flagship stores, and you're the store that used to supply all of them at the same place, I mean, you almost kind of become irrelevant, right? Like we saw East Bay was one of the brands that was under them, and East Bay doesn't exist anymore, right? So they have a few other brands under them, Champs and not Champs, but Finish Line. These are brands that are underneath them, and they're designed to sell different types of merchandise into different demographics, like for young teens and for, specifically for women. I know they had a store, but if everybody's moving online and if you have competition from stores like Lululemon, Lululemon, as far as the apparel, I mean, it's going to be a tough proposition. Another thing, and I think it's smart that we're not going inside the malls. We spoke about malls as far as commercial real estate. Like it's a dead business. People are not going inside the malls at the same rate. I don't see it happening in the future. You shouldn't have. Why have your store inside there? You're paying the lease and you're not making money. So what's the point?
Yeah,
you're dead.
We're gonna put them on a DOA segment.
Foot Locker's native apparel that they sell is like it's the equivalent of shopping at Walmart.
Nothing wrong with shopping at Walmart.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the equivalent of it.
We know some dudes used to shop at Walmart.
Yeah.
I remember when Champion used to be in Walmart about a decade ago.
Wait, no. I never shopped at Walmart. Yeah, I wasn't. But respects to anybody that does. But I'm
Shout out to everybody.
Foot Locker is the equivalent of Walmart. So I'm saying that to say that's not something that's sustainable, just using their own merchandise.
Yes.
So, it's not a good business model to rely heavily on other brands, because in case when Nike decides to pull 30% of their merchandise from your stores, you're screwed.
Yeah. You're gonna take a hit.
Yeah. Shout out to YouTube. 7,000 people. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. 7,000. We got a treat for you guys.
Yes.
So let's get this
Captain
bad
Cash
boy.
App coming through. No,
yes, let's get this bad boy up to 7,500.
I'll give away $500 to one person.
Can we? I mean, we didn't say it, but we could. Maybe we can put this under the Yeezy effect, right?
Kanye?
Yeah. If you think about what people are buying from Adidas inside of these stores.
Nobody buys from the store. Nobody buys from stores, period, anyway.
Nah, people still line up outside.
And they're sitting on a lot of inventory.
Those are specialty stores, though.
Yeah, but
those are like those sneakers.
Like the House of Hoops and things like that.
Yeah, like those stores on Melrose.
People
go. Yeah. Really quick, can we name the liabilities that Foot Locker may have real quick to give like a fundamental analysis? So like employee cost structures is locked in. They're probably paying $25,000 to $50,000 per month in rent. Clothing line is a liability.
The employees, the brick and mortar rent that you're paying,
inventory influx,
the seasonal fluctuation.
Nature, yeah.
You go crazy during the winter and then it cools off for other months.
Or if you don't have, like we just had a winter where we didn't need certain inventory. Like how many pairs of boots were you wearing this winter? How many coats were you wearing? I mean, it was a mild winter. And so then again, now you have a mass inventory that you didn't move.
32 in New York is a mild winter because y'all kept saying that when I was there and I was
32 is all right. We can live with 32. As long as it's like no
snow.
snowstorms.
And here's another thing. In business, you either what I realize in business, this is a gym. You either want to be low end or high end.
High end, yes.
The middle end gets screwed. So low end, like this is Target, this is Walmart. You make
Dollar
a lot
General.
of money. You make a lot of money on the low end. And this is why, like people, I think even Kim Kardashian at one point put her clothes in like Target, one of these low end stores. These people make a lot of money, and then the high end, like Rolex and like Chanel bags and
Brioni,
Louis Vuitton, they're like kind of recession proof, and they still make money in any type of economic environment because the rich get richer when the poor get poor. It's the middle section that's a bad business model. This is why all of these middle brands go out of business, like a Models, like a Foot Locker, like Applebee's is struggling. Like it's these middle brands that are struggling.
Throw Applebee's in there?
Like saying. People don't even go to Cheesecake anymore.
Nah.
Remember what was
crazy?
That? Outback Steakhouse. Remember Outback Steakhouse?
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
Exactly.
Shout out to the coconut shrimp.
But McDonald's is still here.
That's a fact.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Nah.
McDonald's is still here. So it's
and they're
like,
going nowhere.
So when you're thinking of making your business, low end or high end, think about that, and then also think about having a product that's actually a necessity, like that you really need, because that's another way to kind of survive hard times where you need something, so you really can't go without it. Or
hypermodels is good, like McDonald's. They sell a low end product, but the high end asset in the business is really the real estate that they own.
Yep.
Right.
So,
and that's again the reason why you wouldn't be inside of a mall.
Absolutely.
There you go.
It's tough. We're going through a cataclysmic change in real time. And it's really an extension. I mean, if I want to go look at a chart one day, maybe we can do it next week. But if we take out quantitative easing from 2008, and kudos to Obama, through now, did we lose 2 decades from 2000 to 2020? Like, that's scary to think about. Like, technically, without quantitative easing, we would have been like flat or like slightly above break even. But then they want to say, well, Black people ruin the market in the house. Oh, y'all ruin the market. Yeah, Black people didn't put them loans through to let people in Miami get 14 houses.
The Wild Wild West days.
Well, Matt did.
MLS, Matt, I'm just playing.
MLS.
These are just jokes written by 85 South.
MLS number 793.
You know why you throw them out there like that?
These are just jokes, man. I love you.
Shout out to MG, man. A lot was learned on those times. You know what, Ian? But you're right. It's a unique time. But I think the most important thing is that awareness is at a premium, right? And that's why people are here. And that's why they tune in to Market Mondays.
Yeah.
Because you can't say that you didn't know. You can't say that you weren't made aware. What you choose to do with the information now, or how you choose to execute or implement it, will be up to you. But the fact that it's like, because some people might say in 2008, they knew what was happening, but they didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I think every week we're coming here, every time something happens, we're giving a pretty good explanation of what's happening. And so that, we can make educated decisions now.
And I didn't say that Outback was completely gone. I'm just saying
I haven't seen them.
The buzz has died down, ladies and gentlemen. Like, because Outbacks used to be lit, and they used to have the blooming onion and
the coconut shrimp was legit, is elite, bro.
At least the one near us closed. So I'm assuming a lot of them have closed. I've seen a lot of Outback enthusiasts in the comments, so I don't want to offend anybody.
Last time I heard Nicki Minaj was talking about Outback.
I'm just saying, when's the last time you really went to Outback? So let's just be honest.
Who's taking that girl to Outback?
If you take your girlfriend to Outback,
stop TV timeout. TV
every
commercial.
time, there's a guy willing to take her somewhere else.
No, here's my thing. Here's my relationship back before we go into presentation. No, I'm not saying
this is how Adam Silver feel with Kyrie. Hold on now.
I'm saying because it's like you trying. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Outback play is a try. Like you're trying. Like I'd rather, let's just go to Chipotle and just get something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Because we're hungry. Like, because we're hungry.
It's less of a date.
No, because we're hungry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to Outbacks, like, getting a 2-for-1. Like, because now you're trying.
You know, like, you order whatever you want type?
Like, if we're going through that, I'd rather just do the Chipotle play.
What if it's a treat though? You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Yo, you can order whatever you want.
These are just jokes. How about back to the investment? How about culturally, we get one restaurant that we really believe in, we grow that, we all invest into it, we take it to Darden, and then we flip it. I know 7,000 people in here. I think we can have some influence in Atlanta.
I think we got
Brooklyn Chop House.
Facts. Support that. Shout out to the bro Don Pool.
We might be involved in something. You never know.
Never know.
Who knows?
Don Pool, my guy. All right, let's get into this. We haven't done this in a very long time. A treat. Everybody has. This was a favorite when we did do it. So, Ian, I believe you have a presentation.
Yes, it's been a long time. Let me share screen.
Yeah, you got the privilege, man. You the host.
And Outbacks, if you are willing to sponsor,
we're only doing partnerships.
I may be able to, we can create some content.
Revive this thing.
I can help revive your brand.
He won't mention no other restaurants going forward.
You see what I did to STK?
It's funny. Can you guys see my screen? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. No? Yes, sir. We see it.
All right, bet. All right, let me share and present. I'm rusty, boy. All right, here we go. You guys can see screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, perfect. So I just wanted to highlight, I know I haven't done this in a while, but I'm happy to be back doing these. And of course, Trevor Rashad, I want you to chime in so we can make this interactive. But the biggest lesson I want you guys to take from this banking situation and tech situation is that there is an opportunity in every crisis. So Rahm Emanuel, go Google who he is. He has a famous quote is that you should not let any opportunity go to waste when we are in the face of a crisis. These banks, JP Morgan, sadly enough, Wells Fargo, they're going to take advantage of these regional banks. JP is going to do a good job of helping and deploying capital to help keep them afloat. But in every recession, you're going to see certain companies get larger as a result. And as an investor and shareholder, your profit can go up as a result. So that's the main thing that I want you to be focused on there. For my business owner, please remember this, and Rashad touched on this with price and structure. But in your business, you have to begin by being different. Everyone put in chat, begin by being different. The truth is a lot of these banks and tech companies are going under because they are remixes and remakes of an original product that they are just copying. Said before, Slack is just an accelerated version of AOL Instant Messenger from back in the day. I'm glad that they were able to get the money from CRM, Salesforce, but there is not much innovation that we've seen in the last maybe 15 or 20 years in the tech space. And it's part of the reason why these companies are falling apart. This is the biggest lesson that I need you to write down. And please put this in chat. Study every recession in history. There have been 47 of them. If you know why certain banks are going to fall apart, the cyclical reasons of doing so, how the Federal Reserve is tied to it. Kudos to Powell and Bernanke and everyone who's ever ran the Fed and all the individual branches. But if you know why recessions happen, it allows you to be a seasoned investor to see it ahead of time and then to be able to take advantage of them. In the comments, can you tell me, does this remind you a lot of 2007 and 2008? But instead of the housing market being the cause, it was tech and then the commercial side tied in together. So if I can do one thing to help you, just go to Wikipedia and go look at every recession and study why they occurred. And most importantly, the number one tool in your trading and management portfolio of your investment portfolio is your risk reward. You have to wait till the reward outweighs the risk before you put together any capital deployment in any business. So right now, or let's say in 2020 and 2022, the market was too high for you to put a lot of money in. So if you had $100,000 that you wanted to put into the market, it was not the best time to do so. Maybe next year or parts of this year, that will give you a lot more chance to be able to do so. But when the market is at the top, and going back to what Rashad said, you can either have a business that sells a product for a low price or a high price. The middle gets destroyed. Shout out to my snipers. You guys know this. Like, if you buy at the wrong time in the middle, it can destroy your profitability when you trade. The same thing is true of when buying in the business. You want to wait till things are at an extreme low and buy, or short them when they are at an extreme high. And it's another key lesson for my business owners as you're going into a recession, which is the best time to build a business. Never build a brand without receiving equity. Outback, if you want to come partner, don't sponsor, let us partner with, right? 33 and a third to be fair. But the moment the brand becomes successful, if you do not have equity in that brand, the brand will act as if you had nothing to do with it. Please be careful. And kudos to the GOAT himself. Michael Jordan has sold the Charlotte Hornets franchise. The franchise is currently worth $1.77 billion after paying $180 million for the franchise first billionaire basketball player. But this is really interesting. Look who he sold it to. But I want to tell you some lessons really quick from it. Number one, look how long he held the investment. Put in chat, how long did Michael Jordan own or co-own the Charlotte Hornets? Number two, when you're exiting an investment, you either want a 5x return, which is 500%, or a 10x return, 1000%, when you're looking to exit. So you need to have a predetermined exit before you decide to sell, because sometimes you may start to get too emotional, or you may overweight the business more than it's worth, and you may miss your opportunity to then sell. In this case, he was able to get a 944% return, which is right in between that 500 and 1000% marker. But this is really fascinating. Who did Michael Jordan sell to? A group led by Gabe Plotkin. I'm sure some of you are like, who the hell is Gabe Plotkin? I never heard of him. Gabe is a hedge fund manager and former chief investment officer of Melvin Capital. If you don't recognize him, Melvin Capital and Gabe were tied into the GameStop and Robinhood debacle. And I told Stock Club earlier, isn't it ironic? And Jordan had sold minority stake to Gabe beforehand, so this deal had been in the works for a while. But I would not be surprised if this group, led by Gabe, used some of that fame, even though he was vilified, to help increase his profile, because most people who end up owning the team are not doing so just because of the financial incentives in owning the team. They're usually doing so to raise their profile, to be able to get into the room to own other businesses. So after the Robinhood GameStop debacle and then everything fell apart, he then took that risk off the table. This is why it's really important to be invested in a whole bunch of different areas. Now he's going to co-own this team, have a higher profile than ever. And if he builds another hedge fund while the market is going down based around crypto, with this profile and him sitting courtside, do you not think that his business will be more profitable than ever? That's why I always tell you there's a game inside of a game. Shout out to the brother Slim Thug. For everyone who's buying a bunch of fancy things, please go check out his post that he did this past weekend. But stop spending money on jewelry, clothes, designer for the next 2 or 3 years. It's not worth it. That money will be better deployed into the market long-term in the interim. And this is a scary stat when I saw it. Economists said that they found 166 banks that are prone to a similar risk as Silicon Valley. So hypothetically, let's say 50% of these banks are going through the same issue as SVB. Would that weaken or strengthen our economy in America? And will that lead us to having a probability of having a depression or aggressive recession? Put yes or no in chat. Things are getting incredibly scary. As a result, and once again, there's a couple narratives that are going to be pushed. The Black and Latinos caused part of this crash, and also millennials are going to get the blame. As a result, millennials have accumulated debt faster than they ever have since the 2008 crisis. So when the market is falling apart and the job market slows down, hiring freezes, then of course you begin to use credit cards more, but often the people that are put in debt end up being vilified. Please be careful. One of you asked me, what are my thoughts on Charles Schwab acquiring TD Ameritrade? Consolidation happens during every recession cycle. So this is a financial services company. The financial services companies are only going to get bigger, and probably by the time we get to retirement, there may be like 8 or 9 big companies internationally that are only existing. For those of you who are into gaming, I don't like the ticker, but the ticker is SNY, I believe. PlayStation 6 announced they will have their release in 2028. The PlayStation 5 release was not the best. They're adjusting quickly to get ready for this new iteration. So if you're long on Sony, you should probably hold through the 2028 cycle. A former employee at Meta reveals that she had to fight for work at the company. This is more demonization. of people who got affected. And because Meta didn't do the best job at onboarding people, there were some gaps in opportunity. Now, what I will want to tell you guys here, so this does not happen to you at your job, please catalog every project that you worked on, every initiative that you worked on, and please have your entire plan. If you plan to be with the business for half a decade, create an entire product roadmap for what you want to complete while you're there and check it off, so this does not happen to you. Because what's going to end up happening, and we saw with Elon Musk a couple of weeks ago, your management or CEOs or executives will begin to say that you didn't do enough to keep the company afloat. And as a result, you weren't being a team player, or if you were of a darker hue, you were difficult to work with, and they're going to find reasons to let you go. Take initiative on projects even that you should not be a part of to help mitigate risk. So if they do want to fire you, you have a track record for what you've done, and it's easy for you to get employment elsewhere. These are some of the games that corporate is going to play during a recession. Microsoft is reportedly building a crypto wallet for its Edge browser. Edge is still a terrible product. I love Microsoft, but I don't think this will have an impact on the business overall, but it is a move in the right direction for sure. Biden is demanding for TikTok to be sold, or the courts could potentially ban it in the United States. They're not going to ban it. They're probably proposition for it to be American led, but that's going to be really tough to force a Chinese company to spin off a asset that they own and make it American owned, even if it's just a version here. I don't think either one of these will be passed. And quantitative easing is back with $297 billion being added to the Fed's balance sheet. This is debt, and this level of debt is dangerous. And I wish there was an easy solution, but I think we have to start with demanding for better leadership from the top, and on the tech and Dow 30 side, begin demanding better companies are put into our stock market. And here's how the banks have performed the first 18 days into March. JP Morgan is down 11, Goldman Sachs is down 12, Morgan Stanley is down 12%, Citibank is down 14%. UBS threw a life raft to Credit Suisse, and then of course SIVB and SBNY end up being halted, and Chapter 11 was filed. Please write this down. This is the most important lesson for tonight. Mass consolidation is the fastest path to a non-regulated monopoly. That means sometimes destruction happens inside of a sector, so you are allowed to become bigger. And the too big to fail companies that were developed in 2008 are going to be 3 times as big by 2030. We talked about this before, and I'll go through these tickers tonight because I want to bring Shawn Rashad back on. But 20 banks went to go see Warren Buffett to essentially get his version of a bailout plan tied in with the United States government. This will be his second time doing this. Also, you need to go research why Bear Stearns was allowed to go out of business and who they upset. Write down these tickers and understand who plays ball with Warren, Berkshire, and the government to stay alive, and those who have a bad history with the government and Warren, to see which ones could potentially go out of business. And I need you to write this down, and we'll wrap up here. Excessive accumulation of information is making you poor. Overconsumption always leads to disease. Less is more. I appreciate you guys supporting the show from day one. I want you guys to write this down. Pick the 3 sources of information that you're going to learn from. And I know it's really hard, but in a recession, you don't need more information. You need to quadruple down on the execution and make sure that the information that you are being given is giving you an outcome that you want. If the information, even a show, if I'm not making you money, I want you to stop tuning in to Market Mondays and find someone. But if I've made you money, can you please put yes in chat? But overconsumption of information is going to be the biggest waste of your time over these next 10 years. And as we go through this half-decade cycle of losing a lot of money in the stock market. And I'll leave you with this here. Y Combinator cuts 20% of their staff. I want to tell you guys that one of the sources you need to look at for the next companies that are going to do incredibly well over the next 10 to 15 years in the tech space are Y Combinator and Andreessen Horowitz. I would start with Y Combinator and see which companies that are potentially changing the world. For me personally, I'm looking for a biosciences company that specializes in nanotechnology that is able to cure cancer and or heart disease. the era of tech companies that don't provide any real value, make our lives worse, don't provide a competitive edge, they're done. Chat GPT is just an introduction. I think even in the use case of these malls, we're going to see a lot of businesses go out of business in the next 4 or 5 years, and they're going to get replaced with medical care facilities, recovery centers, and like advanced cryotherapy centers. I don't want to tell too much, but in these mixed use spaces, we're going to see a lot of healthcare companies pop up as a result. And the first one that is able to cure cancer or extend life for those who have cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, or chronic heart disease are going to be some of the companies that I'm looking to invest in. And if they get popular enough, look for Apple to acquire them. So I know we haven't done a presentation in a while, but I wanted to come and give you guys the best value possible while we were on here tonight. I appreciate you guys so much. And also please put in chat, what was the biggest lesson you learned from this presentation? Stock Club family, I will have it in Kajabi for you guys tomorrow. I appreciate you guys.
If I made you money, say hell yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh.
Shout out to Y. I'm glad you spoke about Y Combinator.
Yes.
Shout out to all our Y Combinator grads that have appeared on Earn Your Leisure.
We've had a lot of them.
Yes,
There's
Ruben
a couple.
Harris, Austin Woolridge, Players Lounge.
Oh,
Yes.
We got a few,
We
man.
got a few of them.
Got a few of them. Spoke to the head of Y Combinator a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the head of Y
Humble
Combinator?
flex.
Well,
Did
did you know that the head of Y Combinator is a black man?
Yes.
That's
More of
something
us need to know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, first, more of us need to know what Y Combinator is. And then, it's beneficial to know that the guy that's actually the head of it currently is black. That's encouraging. Great presentation. Did a hybrid approach, huh?
Yeah,
Where you kind of like talk through it.
Yeah,
I like that.
I had to switch it up.
That was nice, man.
I like the hybrid.
Thank you.
I like the hybrid.
I wouldn't mute. That's 166 banks, like 50%. That's a dangerous number, man.
Bro, our entire economy is a penny stock right now. The only thing keeping it together is like the insurance companies. That's the only thing. When I look at every sector, I'm like, how do we mismanage? Well, what's his name? Dolan? Like at scale, the economy is being managed by Dolan.
James Dolan?
Yes. Failure. Muerta.
Some would argue MSG is doing pretty well. Now the Knicks, that's different. The Rangers,
the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean they're playoff teams. But the MSG is doing pretty well.
Yes.
We got a half an hour left. We're gonna talk about
listen, Ryan Reynolds, real quick. I'm gonna cut you off. Sold his mobile company to T-Mobile for 1.3 billion.
Yeah, 1.3 billion.
Who we gotta call? Can we get Ryan Reynolds in Toronto? B, can we go get a cellular company? Cricket Wireless or something like Boost Mobile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently. Can we call the Cultural Leadership Fund and get some companies for the culture? What do we like? What?
Megan,
please.
Are you listening?
Pick up the phone tomorrow.
Pick up the phone.
What?
Which country can we invest in a telecommunications company?
Yes.
Africa and Mexico.
True.
Africa's a continent. I just want to. I know people are gonna always say that, like, and it's true.
Yes.
So we
I
want
want to say the country, but
yeah,
it's only if you go to the assets there that we gotta.
The continent we should be looking at.
Are we gonna go over stocks?
We don't have a list for DOA this week.
Are we gonna talk about the hip hop CEO situation?
Yes.
Okay. Got some time.
All right.
Roby, before you do that, let me just what we were speaking about people that companies like Nike. Nike will be reporting tomorrow. So this will be interesting to see how their sales are doing, how they did in the quarter, and what that pullback from retailers like Foot Locker has done for the business. We'll see. Tuesday, tomorrow.
So we made a list. A lot of people. Well, first and foremost, get your tickets to Market Mondays Live World Tour. Toronto is sold out. London and Chicago and Ghana, get on the waiting list because this has never been done in history. That's obvious. So let's do this. Let's talk about these are bank stocks.
Yeah.
You want to talk about these?
Yeah, we can talk about this.
Let's talk about the bank stocks. Let's do that first.
All right. First up, Ian. Here we go. We're gonna do a DOA. DOA. Let's take at least 5 of these. You want to do that?
Yes.
Let's take 5. Okay. Let's start with JPM. JPM. Right now, put that in your ticker. We spoke about it earlier. One of the 11 super banks that is helping out with First Republic, JP Morgan Chase and Company. Thoughts?
JP Morgan will be safe. I don't like it. If you're at JP Morgan currently, kudos to the team. If you report to Jamie Dimon, just go watch football or something like, or 90 Day Fiance. I don't like the stock right now at $127.14 until it gets to maybe 88.34. I wouldn't touch it a dollar higher than that, but JP Morgan is like one of the 4, when you talk about the stool analogy, like to give you stability,
yeah,
JP Morgan is probably the most important peg on that stool in the banking sector. So if they ever go under, it'll be hell on earth for everyone else. But I don't like it at this price. I don't like it until it gets about 86 or 87. But they are alive.
They've all taken a hit over the past month. About where were they trading about a month ago? It looks like over 145. They're down over 127 right now. Obviously, with everything that's happening, the mistrust of banks.
Yeah.
So
they're one.
You're right. I'm with
October
you.
Of last year. Yeah.
If something negative happens here to JP,
it's over.
Run for cover. Run for cover. All right, let's go to the next one. GS is the ticker. Goldman Sachs.
JP Morgan's too big to fail.
That is too big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Biggest bank in the world.
You can't fail.
With one of the best executives ever. Goldman is probably number 2 in that list of importance. Goldman, I do like a lot more stable. Amazing trading division. I do like the stock around 283. Goldman Sachs is alive and well, and they have one of the best group of traders of all time. I think their 10-year win ratio is like 89%. So yeah, Goldman is doing great. It was at $47 in 2008. It's at 309 now for a bank stock. That's like incredible growth.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got all these are the heavy hitters. All right, let's move right down the line. MS, Morgan Stanley. So we're talking about when we were saying like that juggernaut of 11 banks.
Mm-hmm.
These are probably the top 3. So we got Morgan Stanley up next. What we got?
I like Morgan. Morgan's like Giannis. It's not Jordan level, but incredible growth here. I like it around $67.29. It was at 109 back in 2022. Not bad. It's going to come down some, but Morgan is definitely safe. Morgan is alive. Morgan Stanley.
This next one is a little bit tricky. And I remember Jamal, shout out to Jamal, he used to talk to me about this one. C is the ticker, Citigroup. If you look at their 2-year chart, Ian, we're talking about over, I think at $80. They are now down at 45. Thoughts on Citigroup?
Kudos to Art. So Art is the person who, I've told the story before, he's the one that got adjusted for stock splits. I think he got in at like 99 cents in $1.01 in the last crash. Ever since 2013, they've been flat in between like $35 and $79. I'm not going to say that they're dead, but you need to get your butterscotch candy and go pay your respects to Citi. I know this is going to be a controversial take. Listen, the high of 591 adjusted. Their last all-time high was in 2000. Nelly had the Band-Aid on his face.
This is true.
Andale, mommy, no, it's over with. Citi, I don't know. And the crazy part for my technicians, if you go look from 1990, and they had an incredible breakout around 93.
Yes.
And they had a precipitous decline in 2007. They are in the same range from 1986 through 1990 today.
They are. I'm looking at this mountain of a chart. This is
it looked like a text. It looked like an NFT. It looked like Logan Paul's NFT. Yeah, like it went up for a while and then it came crashing down. Citi at one point was the belle of the ball. Not so much anymore.
Not so much.
Pamela Anderson. It was hot in the 90s, dead now.
Shout out to Pamela Anderson. All right, let's go to this one. We spoke about it earlier. We talked about last week it having $15 billion with the B dollars in deposits due to a lot of the regional banks. People haven't run on those banks. Bank of America, BAC, the ticker, BAC, Bank of America Corp. What do we think?
Bank of America is solid. It's not alive, but it's not thriving. Like I hate to use this analogy again. Like it's Austin Reeves from the Lakers. It's not LeBron. It's not AD. Great journeyman. I'm proud of the progress, but like I would say, Bank of America is like in a midlife crisis. I wouldn't touch it unless it got down to like $12 if it ever got that low. Prime example, Rashad. This would be an example of a bank that's like a middle business. They don't serve the higher class of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, Citadel, but they're not exactly like a low tier discount brokerage or bank. So they're right in the middle. Love Brian Moynihan as an executive, but right now Bank of America has no competitive advantage. I wouldn't touch it. All
right, let's move to this one. And since you brought up MG, we talked about a company, bank, when it came to retail.
Rashad brought up MG, not me. I just jumped on. You know what I mean?
We know what wrote about. We know what wrote about. Wells Fargo, ticker WFC, Wells Fargo Company. Thoughts on Wells Fargo?
Muerta, Espiritu Santo.
Ooh.
Adios.
What?
Well, Wells Fargo is probably, and this is interesting. You guys should Google the founders of Wells Fargo, who left and what company did he go form when he left. I'm going to be very careful with my words. Wells Fargo, if they were any other company, they would not be allowed to use the practices that they have used on us the prior 15 years.
Discriminatory practices?
At scale. They make the Klan look like childhood saints. How to discriminate. I would not touch this company, allegedly. I would not touch this company with a 10-foot pole unless it got to $7.44.
Heavy on the allegedly.
Please, heavily on the allegedly. This is just entertainment.
Please.
This episode is brought to you by Wells Fargo.
No, this is like, I don't know how they've stayed afloat this long. I really don't. Practices are egregious. No.
This is true. And that's why I remember Matt putting up the post about the discriminatory practices when it came to real estate. And that's what came to mind when I saw
and the forced opening of credit card accounts and other credit lines.
Yeah.
Like they would force the employee base to do it. No, I wouldn't touch this one.
All right, let's do one more.
Tell us how you really feel.
Amazing company.
Ticker PNC, the PNC Financial Service Group. What are our thoughts on PNC?
You know what? I used to bank with PNC for a while. They acquired one of the old bank I used to bank with back when I was in East Chicago. PNC is actually pretty strong. Like they're a sleeper. They're like trying to find like a basketball analogy. Like Kawhi when he was with the Spurs, when like Tim Duncan was still there and Ginobili was still there. Like very promising future. Multi-year growth has been great, pretty stable. I like it like at $88 or $82 if it ever gets that low. 88 I like. They should go back to 150. The 200-day moving average has them somewhere like around 153. I like PNC. They are alive and well. They need a couple more competitive advantages, but yeah, PNC is alive and well.
All right, there we go. Those are our bank stocks. That was a whole sector of DOA. I like that. I like when we keep it in sector. Last week I felt we were doing the regionals. This year we did the heavy hitters, man.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So let's get it. Somebody said Wachovia. Shout out to all the Wachovia employees that are now Wells Fargo employees. There are good people working there, but some of the practices,
absolutely,
overall,
have been terrible.
The practices, not to say that there aren't good people, because I know some people like it. They feel dirty as an employee. No, not y'all. There are good people working there, but the practices that have been implemented that you have to partake in are discriminatory, allegedly.
Yes.
So let's get into this before we wrap, shall we? Little social commentary related to business. Mm-hmm. So, there's been a lot of noise about hip hop.
I got a hot take too. I'm going to cut you off, but I got a hot take.
I know your take. Yep, I do. I'm prepared for it. There's been a lot of talk about the top 50 greatest rappers, top 10 greatest rappers. We spoke to Fat Joe about it in person. We spoke to Jadakiss about it in person. Everybody has different opinions on this top rapper list.
Yep.
but nobody's ever talking about the top CEO list.
Let's talk
Well
about
played,
it.
by the way.
And Birdman had actually commented, and then when I saw the comment, I'm like, you know what? He's got a point. Let's make a list.
Let's do it.
So we put
Quick
together.
execution.
Yes, very yes.
We wasted no time.
We put together a small council, and we called in some friends,
Trusted advisors.
got their opinions.
Yep.
And we came up with a list of the top 10 hip hop record label CEOs.
Now the key word is hip hop.
Hip hop
Record label
CEOs. And it was highly debatable, and it went viral.
I got it sent to me 90 times.
Yeah. So let's start with the honorable mentions. Honorable mention, DNY from Rough Riders.
Yep.
Jay Prince from Rap A Lot Records. Coach K and P from QC.
Mhm.
Irv Gotti from Murder Inc.
Yeah.
That was the honorable mentions.
Yeah, there were other people that were on the list of honorable mention. I just want to say the names because some people were like, yo, y'all, who y'all? Yes, we spoke about Top Dog. Yes, we spoke about Sylvia Rhone. There was others.
But they didn't make the list.
But they didn't
so
make
let's
this
just go with
Let's start there.
number 10.
Yes.
Now that's the top 10.
Yes.
Number 10.
Damn, DNY, honorable mention?
JD Kiss thought that they should have been in the top
In the
10.
10.
So
For real? What
Well,
does, okay.
he may have a bias,
So
but that's okay.
Number 10, Mariam Suge Knight, former
At
CEO.
10?
Yeah.
Yes. No, number 10, Suge Knight from Death Row
Okay.
Records. Number 9, Jermaine Dupri, So Def. Number 8, a legend and our friend, Damon Dash, Rockefeller Records.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, a legend in the game, L.A. Reid.
Yes.
That's low.
Number 6, Percy Miller, better known as Master P.
Mm-hmm.
No Limit Records. Number 5, the godfather of it all, Russell Simmons.
Yep.
Founder of Def Jam Records. Number 4, one of the greatest producers and one of the greatest label heads of all time, Dr. Dre. Number 3, our guy, Jehovah, Jay-Z.
Sean Carter himself.
Number 2, Black Caesar, an inspiration for all of us, an icon in the game and a living legend, Sean Diddy Combs, aka Love.
Over Jay? Okay.
Bad Boy Records.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, drum roll please, the greatest hip hop CEO ever, according to Earn Your Leisure,
According to us,
Baby
Brian Williams.
Cash Money Records. And shout out to Slim, that's his brother. So he's in the conversation as well.
Yeah.
But Baby Cash Money Records, greatest hip hop CEO of all time.
Okay,
Yes.
but before we get to the debate, everyone tuning in on the investment side, I will make a correlation between the CEOs and portfolio managers so you can kind of get a feel for how to invest. Secondly, can you tell them the reason
Criteria?
behind making a list
Yes.
and why it's important for the viral aspect of it? Because I know you've been waiting to do this for a while.
Well,
So,
Funny you asked.
if people love lists, I realized, because there's no set answer into right or wrong. It's debatable. People love to be acknowledged. So Baby posted it within an hour. We posted it on the plane. I landed and see everything.
We was in the
going
air. I said, yo,
crazy.
Baby,
And
you
all
got
these
it.
blogs start posting like Baby. So I'm looking for his comment. I'm like, did he comment on the post? And then I realized he didn't comment. He posted it on his page. And then Cash Money put it in his story. So people love acknowledgement.
Mhm.
People always dislike not being acknowledged. Lists are very debatable. They're very shareable.
yeah.
I seen Boardroom created their own list.
That did not have Dr. Dre on it.
No,
That's
So-
insane.
so the list is a good. It's good. It's a good conversational piece. And before we start dissecting this list, criteria, that was a big thing. What is the criteria? I think there's a few different criteria that go into play. Longevity,
Number 1,
impact,
cultural impact too.
independence is something that's extremely important.
I got
And that's something that relevancy,
Mhm.
star power,
so artists that they signed
artists that they signed.
and had peak performances under their tutelage,
Yes.
and the number of hits.
Yeah. So those are like kind of the 5 criteria behind
Okay,
this.
those are the fundamentals of what. Okay.
Fundamentals.
Those are the fundamentals.
Gotcha.
So before we justify our list, Ian, what's your take on this list? What's your take on this list?
I probably, are we including Rockefeller and Rock Nation as one company or no?
Well, okay, I'm glad you said that. So
Good
some people said, how can you have Dame at number, I believe he was number 8, and Jay-Z at number 3
Yes.
when they're partners? So Jay-Z's career goes past Rockefeller Records.
This is true.
So as Rock Nation is a management company, but it also has a label division as well.
Yeah.
And they did sign J. Cole.
Right. So in 2006, Rock Nation becomes a record label.
And they did sign J. Cole.
They signed J. Cole.
And Rihanna.
Well, that's not hip hop.
Oh,
But
okay.
they did. Well,
Rihanna's
wait,
hip-hop,
wait.
but they never signed Rihanna.
She's a Rock Nation artist.
Management.
I'm telling you, artist.
I thought she was an
And
artist. Yeah.
they signed, but they've also signed. Well, you got to count Jay's on that label as well, right? So you got to take him into account. Kanye he was under their tutelage, but you also got to take into account like acts like Rhapsody. You got to take into account to Jay Electronica. These are all Rock Nation artists. So those people were after Rockefeller, where it was Beans, it was Cam, it was that era of hip hop, including himself being on the label.
Okay.
Got you.
Okay.
All right, Ian, chime in. Chime in, shall you?
You're missing one important CEO in the lexicon.
Who you got?
You're forgetting Jimmy Iovine.
Again,
So-
now he said this to me.
So I said this.
I'm
I said
gonna give you my
I
response.
said, all right.
Eminem. Dr.
No.
Dre.
Wait.
I said-
Let's
I
stay there.
said-
Let's stay there.
So we got a call from a very trusted friend, a text.
Yeah.
And he said 2 names. He said Jimmy Iovine and
Yes.
Leor Cohen.
And I looked at you and I said,
Yes.
Jimmy Iovine is a great label CEO. When he wanted to have hip hop, he signed Suge Knight. When he wanted hip hop again, he got Dr. Dre. Right? Like
Jimmy
Interscope-
Iovine personally signed Tupac Shakur.
he brought
Interscope to Interscope.
This is true. This is true. No, this is
1994.
true. This is true. But then that wasn't the right place for him. So where did they put him?
That was to mitigate risk. Now, yeah.
We can say everything. Where
Hold
did
on,
he
no,
go?
no.
But where did he go?
He was on death row for
Okay.
sure, but he still had 2 more label obligations to Interscope before he was free.
So because I did bring up Jimmy Iovine's name,
Jimmy is missed.
and we had a conversation, but the thing that we came to the consensus is that Jimmy Iovine is the head of Interscope Records, and Interscope Records encompasses everything.
Mhm.
It encompasses Latin music, it encompasses
Rock.
R&B, hip hop, every type
Are
of
we
music.
just doing black CEOs?
No.
But
Okay.
wait. So it's saying, okay,
Criteria.
that's not a hip hop CEO. He's the CEO of a major record label, which covers every single thing. When we're talking about hip hop, this is more specific, narrowed down to one specific genre of music that you only focused on one particular thing. You're not focused on hip hop as part of your portfolio.
Diddy didn't just focus on one genre though. That's where it gets tricky.
Bad Boy Records is a hip hop
But
label.
I
now
agree, but
think about the hip hop acts. So now if we talk about longevity and we talk about artists, obviously you have Puff, you have the Lox, right? Originally you had Craig Mack, but then you had Black Rob, you had G-Dep, but even now you still longevity, you still have French Montana who still puts out hits right now, present day. So the longevity from 94 to now is there. The hits are there. We can't deny. He had a diamond record 4 years ago. These things are happening. Hip hop, just hip hop.
Who was Diamond 4 years ago?
French Montana.
Single.
Single.
A single.
He had a diamond
I was
record, I
like-
said. No, he had a diamond
Gotcha,
record.
okay.
No. He had a diamond record.
Got you.
The joint with Sway Lee.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Diamond record. That's a fact.
Okay. Okay. So for me,
Nah,
Jimmy. No. I'm gonna be real.
But
Jimmy Iovine is Ray Dalio.
Yes.
Okay, we're not denying. No, he's
No,
great.
that's a
He's great.
fact. That's a
Signed
fact.
Dre, signed Tupac individually, signed Snoop individually. Yes, he extended, but also like I'm not. I know Dame will call you, but why the kid going crazy for the vulture? We can't leave Lee Orr off of there either.
Well,
They encompass a couple of things, right?
Lee-
So if we say Def Jam, it really is Rick Rubin,
yes,
it's Russ, and it's Leo.
yes.
it would be those three, and right. So when we say Russ, it's kind of like Rick Rubin's in there.
Leo Cohen was running Def Jam
after
Gotcha.
after it was built.
But he was there with them.
He inherited a successful team.
Yeah.
He didn't build the successful team. He inherited.
Which goes back to my Jimmy. If I told you this person signed Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Tupac before Death Row, 50 Cent, and Eminem.
No, Jimmy Iovine, you could make an argument for Jimmy Iovine. You can. It's just I don't think that Jimmy Iovine
He got to be in the top 3.
Solely focused on hip hop. Well, here's my thing with Jimmy. I said if you put him in, you got to put him at number 1. Or don't put him on either number 1 or don't put him on the list at all. Because anything other than that is kind of just doesn't make sense. So if you're going to put him on the list, he got to be number 1. Or
then you'd have to remove L.A. Reid.
And here's the reason why we said Baby from Cash Money was number 1. So Baby doesn't get enough credit. He has one of the best deals ever negotiated, ever. Almost a 90-10 split where Universal got that $100 million deal and then came back and got another another $100 million. When you think of Baby, you think of the Hot Boys that came out in 98, I believe.
Juvenile was first though. Juvenile was on fire.
Yeah, Juvenile 98.
98.
Yep.
Juvenile 98, right? Till when Lil Wayne took the game over in 2000s to Drake, to Nicki. People say like Drake and Nicki's Young Money. Young Money is Cash Money. That's Cash Money. So you got almost a 30-year run of dominance. That's unprecedented. Never been done.
That's like Buffett-ish.
It's never been done.
LeBron James.
And if you look at any statistic as far as top 100 hits, if you look at the artists who were in there, all 3 of them in the top 5. All 3 of them, like Nicki, Wayne, and Drake in the top, or at least the top 10 for most hits charted on top 100 on Billboard. All 3 of them on there. It's not even close. That we're going. Baby's number 1.
So Baby is Buffett. Jimmy. Oh. Okay.
And Diddy, I think, doesn't get enough credit for having the most cultural impact. Bad Boy Records at their peak, there was nothing stronger.
I forgot Mace. I didn't even say Mace.
Bad Boy.
When that Betha.
My fault.
That Baby logo that they had, like when Bad Boy was running at his peak, it was nothing that could stop it. It was unstoppable. And
I came into this game wanting more money than Puff. That's Jay's line.
And then the tour. Yeah, and Puff set so many precedents. He set so many precedents, and he's laid the blueprint for so many other people to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And he survived the times as well. So Diddy, I feel like is he's rare air. I don't feel anybody has had as much impact on our culture, just from a musical standpoint, than Diddy.
Brother love.
Because even Jay, at a certain point, they follow Diddy's blueprint.
Exactly.
Everybody has followed Diddy's blueprint.
Yeah, and if we're talking about hip hop and R&B, then you're talking about you got to start with Jodeci, Mary J, and then obviously Carl Thomas, Faith. Like it's just that's what I said. If we wanted to, but we're not going to. But if we wanted to, we could. So I think Puff definitely top. He's number 2.
Yeah, number 2. I would compare Puff to Julian Robertson from Tiger Global Management for the investors who are still here chimed in.
Yeah, and for the young bucks who are asking why L.A. Reid,
Usher, tough.
Well, not even Usher. Let's start with Outkast.
Outkast.
First and foremost, let's start with Outkast. We're not even gonna count LaFace Records as far as the R&B label, but signing Outkast and then Goody Mob as well. But then going later into the early 2000s with getting Future being the exec when they Def Jam gets Rick Ross. Gets Young Jeezy, being an epic when they get 21 Savage, Travis Scott, like Atlantic, Travis Scott. Like
the only thing about L.A. Reid,
it's a lot.
Out of everybody else in that list, he has a great resume. He never started anything. He also
started LaFace.
Started LaFace.
Don't do that.
He did start LaFace.
Don't do that.
But other than that,
I clip that out.
Don't do that.
Other than that,
that's
one of the greatest songwriters of all time.
Yeah, nah, that's a big one.
Right.
Pause.
It was. Yeah. But he also was running labels that was already established.
That is true. He became the president and CEO of some labels, but he definitely started LaFace with Babyface. That's a fact. Now, shout out to my brother Sticks.
LaFace is like Tim Cook.
LaFace is.
L.A. Reid's like Tim Cook. Like, wasn't the strongest founder per se, even though LaFace was a hit, but amazing operator. Like.
Yeah, sign some legends, bro. Sign legends.
Yo Gotti. A lot of people have they said He's up.
Yo,
He's
Gotti
Gotti
coming.
should be
coming.
on the list.
The only thing is the
He's-
longevity.
He's coming up. He has a great right now today.
He's hot.
Yes.
Track record
He's hot.
phenomenal, yo.
Yes.
No, he's hot right now. He's definitely hot as a CEO. He's hot.
And the last person came down to DNY or
That's crazy. They're not on the list, yo.
TD, it was TDE.
it was TD. It was Top Dog.
Top Dog.
Top Dog was on the list, and then we had to take Top Dog off the list.
And it's no disrespect to Top Dog, but if we're talking just hip hop, now we have to take the SZA catalog out.
Well, now leave the sister catalog in. Top Dog's a legend.
He is.
He's a legend. But
Kendrick,
what we said was Kendrick Lamar,
Kendrick.
Kendrick Lamar, Kendrick
The
Lamar,
great.
and SZA, right? That's their.
then we got to put Rihanna back.
J Rock.
J Rock, Absol, Schoolboy Q. Yes.
Yeah, but when you look at Rough Riders, you got DMX, you got the Locks, you got Eve, and you got Swiss Beats.
And Dragon. Let's not
Dragon.
play. Dragon has some hits.
I'm just saying, like the 18.
Yeah.
Starting, like, so it's like when you have Swiss Beats, the Locks, Eve, and DMX.
How was he not there? I was
He
mad.
could have been, but I don't know who you take out. The other part, and a lot of people like, yo, Irv should have been in the top 10. Irv should have been in the top 10. Shout out to Irv, EYL alum, friend of the show, friend of the fan. If we're talking just hip hop, that's what I'm saying. If we're just talking hip hop, how many hip hop albums do you think Murder Inc. put out?
Hip-hop?
Artists. How
I
many
think
hip hop
5.
artists?
Oh, hip hop artists.
R&B is hip hop.
I'm just saying, well, let's just take hip hop.
They have Ashanti and they have Ja Rule.
Anybody else?
The Murderers.
No, they
Nope.
don't have anybody else, but they have a lot of songwriting
And Lloyd.
and produce Lloyd.
Shout out
They had
Lloyd.
Yeah.
Lloyd. But they had a lot of songwriting and a lot of producing. And
He
he's
did.
influential. He brought DMX to Def
He
Jam.
did. But
He
that
got Rockefeller a
Poppin'.
situation.
he was
Yes.
part of that. With that's not him as a CEO.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's him as an A&R. But him as
It was
a
the CEO's mind, though.
The last, so and then we gotta look at that, right? So if we're just talking hip hop, if I'm just thinking hip hop, it would just be Ja Rule. That's the only hip hop act that they had. Yes, Ashanti was there. Yes, Lloyd was there. But we gotta talk about longevity, right? Ja's first album was 99. The last album came out in 2008. That's a 9-year span. It is now 2023. They have not put out a record. Obviously, we saw what happened with 50, and we saw what happened with the federal.
Yeah, I was
government
gonna say the Fed
investigating
did
them. That obviously took. So the longevity is not there. So that's why I felt like we got to move back just like.
But then also, before we wrap, Marcus had actually made he said that Coach K and P should be number one. And I said, that's interesting. Why would you say that? And he said, it's either number one or number two. And he said
4,
that
yeah.
they're the only ones that got out at the top. He said, nobody else has ever done that. He said, everybody else rolled the ship up and rolled the ship back down.
except
Jimmy Iovine.
no,
Oh, except Birdman.
except Brian Williams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But other than that, the ship has gone up and the ship has come back down.
Listen, there would be no beats without Jimmy.
No, Jimmy's a legend.
No, we're not denying him.
It's just a matter of whether he's solely hip hop or not. But if you want to consider, he definitely has a right. Jimmy, I don't think anybody you can't dispute Jimmy Iovine's influence
At all.
You can't. But
Death Row.
But also, Jimmy Iovine never did it himself. Suge Knight was the person that ran Death Row Records.
Fact,
Dr.
yeah.
Dre was the person that ran
Aftermath
Records. Like, you know what I mean? So
We
is a
also got
great general manager, but he never coached a team. He never coached a team.
Well, I can say,
maybe
you know, I love
he's the owner.
Suge, love Pac. Shout out to Mutai. Suge also ran that into the ground. We got to talk about risk mitigation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Up and down. Up and down.
Longevity is a criteria.
But mostly everybody on the list had the up and down, right? If you're honest. If you
I don't think any hip hop label had a more preventable situation than Suge Knight. You lost your big. Pac shouldn't have been nowhere near around Orlando. Like, I'm not gonna get an LA business, but he shouldn't have been nowhere around any of that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Suge was doing a bunch of unnecessary stuff.
Stuff
that was also part of the allure of
part of it
of Death Row.
Yeah.
But yeah, QC. So he had an interesting take where he said that they got in, they got hot, and they got out the game. And he said nobody else has ever done that.
What Dr. Dre sell beats to Apple for? We're just gonna talk math because I'm a numbers guy.
1.3 billion.
Flawless victory.
No, that's outside. That's a different product.
Yeah, that's not music.
That's not Aftermath Records. That's a spinoff. That's a different product altogether. That's like saying Diddy or that's like saying Jay-Z just sold his liquor company and made $1 billion, or Diddy has Revolt and became a billionaire off of.
When the wire cleared, nobody asked.
Well, no, I'm just saying a lot of, and that's another thing why Baby probably not the best CEO when it comes to all of that, because his main focus has always been music. Diddy got Revolt, he got Ciroc, he got DeLeon,
Maybe
Jay-Z got the Spirits, he got Rock Nation, he got the everything. He got everything, right? Like Dre got the headphones. So Baby really just focused on music. That's why it was just hip hop record label CEO.
Yeah. And I'm not caping for Jimmy, but Jimmy did co-found Interscope. It wasn't given to him.
Yo, we're not knocking him, bro.
You are definitely advocating for Jimmy Iovine, but I appreciate it.
That's like if the source say that you didn't co-found EYL, like yo, you just work with it. You like, what the fuck? What? He co-founded Interscope.
Who's Interscope under?
It was a partner with Geffen. That was his label.
Well, it's under. Was it Sony?
No, if we're gonna do this, everybody under somebody.
Exactly.
If we're gonna do that, we gotta say Doug Morris and Lucian run everything.
No, that's a fact.
Doug cut every check, and Corey tried to. Hey, it's a financier. The person who cut the check mattered the most. Now, if we want to talk, hey, now, who paid for our shows? Us.
You're an all-star. Hey, now you're an all-star.
Check writer, your royalty receiver. You eating on per diem on a low like a Caesar.
Well, that's why I said once again, that's why Brian Williams got to get a lot of credit.
Yeah,
he went to the office with tattoos on his face and a Louisiana accent and lug boots and got them folks to give him a 90-10 split.
Yeah, bro.
With $100 million
cooking too. Like
with gold teeth in his mouth.
That's what I'm saying. Like Jimmy, if he's the head of Interscope, like go to their artist section, right? Like they have an alpha. Like you gotta go A through Z. There's just too many artists. It's just not a hip hop label.
Start in '93, and what was they at?
There's a hip hop imprint underneath it. That's a fact. But they're not a hip hop label.
Start '93. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
he got to be in the top 4. If I got a 2 Tech 2 index. Boy, Jimmy going in there. Jimmy, Baby, Puff, Hove.
They got most def on the lineup. Moneybag Yo is under Interscope.
What are we talking about?
CMG Interscope.
CMG.
Yeah.
At one point, Puff was at Interscope.
Yeah.
Don't leave while you're hot. That's how Mace screwed up.
Distribution. No, distribution.
Yeah.
That's different though. It's different.
Boy, he got the world on lock. Now, I also can make a claim for he the biggest vulture too.
Wait for our next list.
Oh, let me put in. I got 7 names.
Just wait for our next
and there's 3
list,
black ones on there. I don't want to be spicy tonight, but there's some black vultures we got to put on there too.
We're gonna add you to the council.
The vultures and villains list.
Shout out to Adam 22. How you let Joe destroy your whole career in one interview? Hey, buddy, tell me about the time. Hey, we gonna have a talk about the music and the predatory stuff that be going on in the music one day too.
And then my dad reminded me, give a shout out to Vernon Brown. Once again, I always talk about the people that's behind the scenes. Vernon Brown is the black lawyer that negotiated all those deals for Cash Money. He's the long-time lawyer and business manager for Baby and Cash Money.
He did P's deal too, right, Master B?
I'm not sure if he did P's deal, but I know he did a lot of people in the music business deal. But he's one of these guys that you might not have heard of behind the scenes. But yeah, he's the one that negotiated those deals. Please. So yes, it wasn't like Baby was actually negotiating his deal, but you still have to have some level of intelligence.
Smart people hire smart people.
Exactly.
And this is a great point of leverage. If you don't come in with cash, you cannot set any rules in negotiation.
That's true.
Cash
flush.
Cash money.
Cash and talent.
Cash money.
I got the talent.
Cash money.
Yeah.
All right.
Brian Williams, y'all number 1.
It's been real, ladies.
Unprecedented run.
It's been real. Shout out to Diddy.
To be
shout
continued.
Out to Jay. Shout out to everybody on the list because all those people were motivation to us. And you as your business is growing, this isn't just a random conversation. You can draw inspiration, blueprints, motivation from different people in different sectors. And when we talk about like branding, like when we interviewed Black Sam and JP said that the marathon logo came from Life magazine. That's a perfect example, right? Who would have thought that Life
That's
magazine
interesting. Yeah.
would be an inspiration for the marathon logo? But it was. So it's like you got to learn as much about different people as possible. Read as much, watch documentaries, because the more you learn, the more inspiration that you gain. Like, I think Triumph is one of the best rap videos of all time.
Mhm.
And
Big
I watched
facts.
that. I watched that video just for inspiration purposes, like motivation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just draw inspiration from a variety of different places. So yes, learn from the greats
Yeah.
in all fields,
Yes.
because it could help you.
Yeah.
These executives are essentially hedge fund managers. Like, all these labels are selling the catalog now. You think that's being done by accident and selling it at the top of the market? Like, so there's a reason why we bring up this list. But Rashad, these segues are amazing.
And
Yeah.
shout out to Al Heyman too, because somebody put Al Heyman.
Al,
Al
yeah.
Heyman, he's another one. You got to study his blueprint. He was a guy that was doing music promotion and became the biggest boxer promoter in the world, and nobody even knows what he looks like.
Shout out to Jay Prince, though.
Jay Prince was also a boxing promoter.
You know who he promoted? A guy named Floyd Mayweather.
He did.
Big facts. And Aubrey.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Somebody said
that's
that.
two-time
Jason,
cool. They do it.
Jason, I want to let you know, as a New York City guy, I did bring up Fat Joe. Fat Joe gave us Big Pun. Obviously, he gave himself Remy Ma. He introduced the world to Cool and Dre. He also introduced the world to DJ Khaled. Very important person. But he was on the honorable mention.
I don't think that was under his label.
I'm just saying he brought his cultural influence.
Khaled was on Terror Squad though, right?
He was.
No, Big Pun was.
No, Khaled was there.
No, Khaled was too.
Started his career. And then he was on Cash Money.
Officially signed.
Yeah, they went to Cash Money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know how that went.
Now this is a good lesson if we want to get to the vulture lesson.
But cultural influence, though, we gotta say.
You gotta start signing these acts in perpetuity, yo. Like, could you imagine having Khaled and then not getting the royalty off the back end? Oh, baby.
My brother Khaled. Let's go golfing.
All right.
They didn't want to see another Market Mondays, but God did.
God did. God did.
Boy.
Tomorrow, Tabitha Brown. Big episode. Tap in. Shout out to her. Great human being. This Thursday, the whole Bay Area, not just Oakland, the whole Bay Area, the whole California, the whole West Coast. Support 19 Keys and Dame Dash. The event is in Oakland. It's going to be a super dope event. It's different tiers. One tier is a VIP where you can get a Zoom call with them. And like I said, those are two of the most interesting, intriguing people I personally have ever met. They both can talk for 5 hours on their own. So I don't know how that's even going to work with both of them in the same room, but I know that energy is going to be electrifying.
And to be honest, Keys gave Dave one of his best interviews.
Of course. Keys is one of these people that, you know, is eclectic. He got a dope interview coming out with Joey Badass this Saturday too, which I'm very interested in seeing. So, but the Dame Dash 19 Keys, we're sponsoring 50% off. So you can click the link in the description, and that's 50% off of that event. And that's you know, courtesy of us. Love for Oakland, love for the Bay, and love for those two brothers. So I don't know how you missed that event. I really don't. Especially if you get a ticket for as low as $50. I don't know how you miss an event with Dame Dash and 19 Keys in a city like Oakland, where not a lot of stuff happens like that in Oakland, or the Bay Area.
And we've been there a few times.
So it's not like Atlanta or New York or one of these places where, you know, all the events happen. If you complain about a small market not getting attention, well, you got to give it a reason to get attention. So when you do have these type of historic events, support them. And then the networking obviously is going to be crazy in the room as well. Yeah. And shout out to my brother Ash Cash.
That's my guy. Shout out Ash Cash.
Black Men's, yo.
Yeah, we're getting honored.
We're getting honored this Saturday, 17th installment of the Black Men's Brunch. We are going to be honored. We will be there with Ash Cash, obviously. Mayor Adams and our good friend Don Peoples will be in the building.
Oh, that's
it
dope.
is.
The mayor will be there.
They're calling us the hometown heroes here in New York.
Yes.
So shout out to everybody that thought of us to receive this award. It's very humbling, man, to be honored in the state, obviously in the city that we were both born in, for the work that we're doing, right? Like we're not singing, we're not rapping, we're actually just educating. So to be acknowledged as hometown heroes amongst 500 other Black men is incredible. So shout out to y'all and Ash Cash for putting that together. I'm looking forward to it.
And you can come if you want to come. I think that the website is blackmensbrunch.org.
Yep.
And I believe it's a charitable situation.
Gotcha.
So you'll be donating to a good cause, but it's an honor to be honored. And shout out to Ash Cash, man.
He's shooting a live episode.
Harlem native. And he's shooting an episode of his show.
Yeah,
too,
so if you come, you'll be a part of the live episode of Inside the Vote. He's actually going to be sitting down with Mayor Adams doing a live interview. So that's going to be
that's the interview. He's going to be interviewing Mayor Adams.
Yep.
And shout out to Team 914. Shout out to my man Chris Lapp for this. So
shout out Lapp.
You know?
Yeah, he cool, my guy Drew. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this goes to our conversation with Jadakiss. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. The NBA, extremely disappointed. We had a campaign for me to play in the Celebrity All-Star game this year, and didn't make it. So when Jadakiss was doing MSG, before I randomly had pulled up on his juice bar in Yonkers, and he was outside with another one of my friends, Sticks, shout out to Sticks, and we was just talking for like an hour. And I was telling him, like, yo, I'm trying to get into the NBA All-Star game, da-da-da-da. He was like, yo, I've been trying to get in there. They ain't let me in, da-da-da-da, a few different things. And so when he seen me, he was like, yo, I was looking for you in the All-Star game. I ain't see you. I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, next year we got to get in together. Like, you know, and it was it's on my Instagram page. So let's start this campaign. 914, me and Jadakiss, Celebrity All-Star game, together
in Indiana,
in Indianapolis.
Oh, and that don't let Jack Harlow cross you, yo.
I'm in it to win it, bro. I'm in it to win it, man. So me and Kiss, same team. We're gonna do it for the hometown.
That's fire.
We're gonna bring back the championship trophy, and let's have some fun. So,
yo, man, we gotta do it for the night.
NBA, we're a package deal.
Yeah,
me and Jadakiss are a package deal. So
and we trying to have Fat Joe coach. We're gonna have Fat Joe coach.
That would be phenomenal.
We gotta have Joey Crack coaching, me and Kiss in the backcourt, and I don't know who else is gonna be playing on the team.
Don't matter.
Maybe like 21 Savage or something like that.
He's been working on his game. He's been working on his game. Yeah. Yo, shout out, before we go, shout out to FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson, for having the biggest upset in NCAA history.
Shout out to Meech.
Come on, I'm going there. A 16 seed with the largest odds. I think they were down. I think they were underdogs by 25 points, something like that. They obviously beat Purdue. Shout out to Meech.
Not too much on the home state.
Nah. Shout out to Meech. 914's on. Shout out to Meech. Shout out to the pound. Fred, what's going on?
That's crazy.
Meech.
Purdue, what we doing? I went to IU.
You already know who you playing for this summer. But we got some big things planned.
Did they win the second game?
They lost last night. The season is now over. But we're proud of him. He represented for the town this summer. We got a chip on Ferris. So shout out to Meech and Fred for bringing the chip home. This summer, we got to run it back. But we're going to go into bigger tournaments. So Meech, get ready. Rest up, man. We all proud of you. Congratulations, my brother.
Yes.
There you have it.
Love is love, y'all. We catch y'all tomorrow. Earn your leisure. And we'll see you next week. Market Mondays. Love is love. Make sure y'all tap in Oakland.
Get your tickets to the Market Mondays World Tour.
Toronto will be on the way soon.
Toronto, back on road. Running through the
call tomorrow
with my woes.
I'm gonna be out there probably 2 weeks. I ain't even gonna lie. I wanted to go to Mexico today. I may just stay in Toronto for like 2 weeks.
I was running through the 6.
Toronto with me. That's Mayor shit. Yeah, all right, man. We are out. Love is love.